Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road, welcome to the Friday edition, the Football Friday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with former Tiger Richard Dixon is going to be a part of our show again this year. Jimmy and Max will take the last 2 hours of the show today from Las Vegas as the Circa opening weekend begins. They were out there yesterday. They'll be out there for the last 2 hours of the show today. But for the first hour, it's us here in the Hidden Pour. We are in the back bar area, which has been kind of their auxiliary bar as they are putting the finishing touches on the main bar to start the football season, and our Eat the Competition dinner, which is Sunday night and has only 8 tickets left available. So if you'd like to be a part of this 5-course meal with wine pairings, Gordy and I will be out here doing an LSU preview. We'll be taking questions from the audience. It's a great time. We've enjoyed this event for a number of years in a row now. If you want 8 tickets left, call for Chelsea, 753-3458, 753-3458. Tickets, when they're gone, they're gone. So we hope that you can make it out. We expect another full house on Sunday night. Sunday night at 6, great way to kick off the season. Rich, how you doing, man?
We're almost there.
Or should I call you Coach?
Oh, man.
Yeah. You are now coaching your son's flag team?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've tried to stay away from coaching for the most part. I help out. It's just, when you're coaching flag, it's everything against you've been taught to do in tackle.
Right.
I'm not that guy, but no, it's fun. We're going to have a good time, and the Lions are back. They get to be the Lions this year.
The Lions? Okay. Well, that's who you played with. You got your depth chart, your ones, your twos,
Got all 8 of them figured out. We're good.
We're tracking them, okay?
I'll let you know.
I'm not going to let Jimmy put a line on any of the games, but we're going to root for you guys.
Yeah, if he's going to put a line on it, that's pretty tough with the mental capacity of 7- and 8-year-olds, but we'll get there.
Well, we're rooting for the Lions. You and I are we're going to go through where we think LSU is a week out to the opener, but yesterday was a red-letter day for me. Something that I've been hoping for a very long time, something I've been talking about for a very long time, going back through multiple commissioners, multiple league expansions, multiple schedules, and finally we are at a point where I think they're pretty close to getting this right. Yesterday, the SEC announced that they're going to go to a 9-game schedule starting next year. So why yesterday, and how did this all come about? Well, when the league added Oklahoma and Texas, going to 9 games seemed inevitable. But there were 2 things that the league wanted before they were going to acquiesce to this. Number one was they wanted more money for their television rights, and ESPN agreed to that earlier this year. So that's an additional 9 games of inventory, and they wanted some assurances that they were going to get compensation for that. Okay, that got done. Nothing's free, pal. The second one just got done really on Wednesday. It was just announced on Wednesday. And it was the decision by the CFP to use the enhanced strength of schedule metric. This was a big point of contention last year when SMU got in and South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama didn't. before the league was going to pin 9 more losses on their member schools, they were going to make sure that they were rewarded for playing a tougher schedule. I'm not going to go through all of the gory details of this enhanced strength of schedule. Just know this: you're going to get more credit for playing good teams, and you're going to get hit harder if you lose to bad teams. What good teams and bad teams are, look, again, that's a huge metric. They've been fighting about this since the first football was, blown up, I guess, what these strength of schedule metrics mean. But until that got done, the league wasn't going to add 9 more losses because they saw what happened last year. SMU had 2 losses. Those 3 teams I just told you had 3 losses. End of story. If that was going to be the way that they were going to do this criteria, then the league was like, fine, we'll stay at 8 games. So they got their money. They got their schedule metrics that they wanted. Now all they got to do is figure out a format. Well, the devil's in the details, right? The league announced that they would have 3 permanent opponents for every school. I think that's good. Is it the best thing they could have done? No. I would have been in favor of 1 permanent opponent because I don't think that many rivalries need to be protected. I think Alabama should protect Auburn. I think Georgia should protect Florida. I don't think that you should get to protect 2 or even 3 rivalries in this league. I think the Egg Bowl should have been protected. I think that Texas and Oklahoma should be protected. But I don't think that there are 25 games that have to be played every year. I lost that argument. I will take that for the trade-off is that you're swapping out a win for an SEC game. So I'll take the 3 permanent opponents.
But did you hear what he said on the morning show with Matt and Hester was that he didn't want to call them permanent opponents because he said so often rivals have changed. And he went back to LSU and Ole Miss back in the day, then LSU Arkansas, then LSU Florida, LSU Alabama. He goes, things kind of work themselves out to where rivalries have changed. So he said that they're going to be set schedules for 3. But it's going to be up to review if it's not really one of the main games anymore. And
that is the best news that I could have heard. Because for a long time, there's always sort of been a demarcation line in the league between the top half and the bottom half. When you had 10 teams in the league, it was Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, and then depending on what year you looked at, if you're in the 70s, LSU or Florida, and then into the 80s and all the way to 92 when they redid the schedules when they expanded to 12. So it was kind of like 6 and 4. Then when they went to 12 teams, it was very clear, 6 and 6. When you got to 14, 7 and 7 was a little bit harder, and then when you get to 16. It's really difficult because what teams have done in the last few years compared to what they've done historically, and when they talked about this 2 years ago, they talked about a 10-year period that they were going to evaluate. This is harder because Tennessee's difficult where you put them.
Yeah.
If you put them historically, all time, well, Tennessee's in the top half of the league, easy. If you do what they've done the last couple of years, Tennessee's still in the top half of the league, easy. If you do what they've done over the last 15 years, well, Tennessee's really not in the top half of the league. And you have to look at this with a little bit of recency, but a lot of long range, a lot of the big picture. Ole Miss last year was better than Oklahoma, okay? South Carolina was better than Florida. And Vanderbilt was better than Auburn. But I don't expect that to be the case, in most years. But it was the case last year. So what do you do with a team like Ole Miss or a team like Tennessee? Are they in the top half of the bottom? It's close, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you take the top half of the league, Alabama and Auburn, LSU and Georgia, Florida, Texas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. Well, that looks good. But then that puts Tennessee and Ole Miss in the bottom half. What are your 3 opponents? We got a station survey. I think they're publishing it now about who you would like to see as your 3 permanent opponents. I can do this any number of ways for LSU. I think if it were me doing it just for LSU, I would say A&M, one of the 2 Mississippi schools, and one of the 2 Alabama schools. And I would rank the Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State in that order. And I would give LSU 2 of those schools. I'd either give them 1 and 4 or 2 and 3. So you'd have A&M with either Alabama and Mississippi State or Auburn and Ole Miss. That would be me, okay? If they want to do this a different way, I'm not going to die on that hill, okay? I'm finally getting something very close to what I want. So I'm not going to say, look, they got to play Ole Miss every year. They got to play Alabama every year. The problem with playing Alabama, as has been pointed out, is that 2 years ago when they really started talking about this, they said, well, Alabama has to play Auburn every year, and I agree with that. Alabama has to play Tennessee every year, which I vehemently disagree with. And LSU-Alabama has been one of the marquee games in the league for 15 years at least. Well, that means Alabama's got to play 3 really good teams as their permanent opponents. I think because the league has catered to Alabama's desire to play Tennessee since Moses was in the desert, that they should be forced to play them now every year, now that they're actually pretty good. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Give me something in the realm of fairness. Don't give me Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, okay? And I don't think they will, okay? And likewise, I'm not asking for Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. That's not fair either. Give me some kind. LSU's in the top half of the league, no matter how you want to look at this. So give me 2 out of the top and 1 out of the bottom. However that shakes out, that would be fair. When this comes out in December, and we're only going to spend the next 3 months speculating about it, then somebody's not going to be happy. I mean, you can't do it. If you get my preferred format is 1 permanent opponent, and those 4 protected games that I talked about, and I would add LSU and A&M would be their permanent opponent, and Missouri and Arkansas. But I get to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's got to play somebody. Okay, that would be an edge to the Vols, but nothing's perfect. Give me something that's close to fair. Okay, that's all I'm asking here.
I'm good with that too from the top. I mean, you're going to get a lot of varying. I mean, look, A&M is a recent rivalry to me. Like when I think of my playing days, A&M wasn't there. Like that game doesn't mean a lot to me. Like when you say A&M, I say Florida. Like that would be I'd want Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. One of those would be good with me. But it's going to be like you said. It's all about what's happened recently, and you got to throw in historically as well.
If you ask my grandparents, they would tell you LSU has to play Ole Miss every year. That was the game for a while. Well, I think you have to have some kind of balance. I would like to see a bigger rotation, but again, I got about 90% of what I wanted out of this. I've been on this soapbox since the league bent over backwards in 1992 to make sure Alabama got everything they wanted, and then Georgia and Auburn got the next thing what they wanted, and then they filled in everything, and it wasn't fair. And it wasn't fair when they redid it in 2002, and it wasn't fair when they redid it in 2012. I would like something in the realm of a rotation where everybody plays everybody. And the fact that A&M's been in the league since 2012 and hasn't been to Georgia is ridiculous. So the other thing that this does is it makes sure that everybody plays everybody every second year, and everybody goes to everybody's campus every 4th year. That's a big, big deal. Yeah. I mean, look, growing up in the 80s, Bo Jackson never played in Tiger Stadium, neither did Herschel Walker, neither did Peyton Manning, okay? If guys go pro after 3 years, there's nothing you can do. But every 4 years, you should have everybody come through here. And I just hated that some of the best players, that were 4-year players back then, never made it to Baton Rouge. So the fact that we now have, there's not going to be these 10-year gaps or these 8-year gaps between visits to another campus. It shouldn't be that. If you're in the same conference, it really shouldn't be that way. I could take there was a series of years there where LSU had been to or had played, I think it was Troy, more times than they had played South Carolina.
Nah.
That shouldn't happen. So I'm very happy with about 90% of what happened here. I would have done it a little bit differently, but I got most of what I wanted here.
When you keep adding teams to it, like when I played, if you played for 4 years, you missed one stadium. I never played at Vanderbilt. That's the only stadium in the SEC that I never got to go play at.
You picked the right one to miss.
Yeah, Nashville would have been cool, but I wouldn't got to enjoy it because I was playing anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the one I got to miss. For me, we can figure out who the permanent opponents are going to be. I'm just excited that you're going to have 10 power conference games this season.
That to me is one of the biggest things about this is we've now whittled down the rental wins to 2. I'd rather it be one. Actually, I'd rather it be none, but I'm trying to be realistic here. That's the best thing. This will essentially, I hope, eliminate that November week where everybody plays the Citadel or whoever, and it's just like, man, I could deal with this in week 1 or even week 2. In week 10, I don't want to see LSU playing Middle Tennessee. I don't want to see Alabama playing the Citadel. It's a waste of time.
Week 1 and week 7 would be for me. You get the little bit of a rest. You get 6 games in a row. Get a break.
Okay.
Get something to where you can get going. But from now, I mean, the whole point about the rent-a-win games, I mean, you were basically paying for that program. You were giving them money to keep the money in that house. If they did that, I would like to see just keep playing Louisiana school. If you're going to have two games that you got to play out of the power conferences, keep them in Louisiana.
And Scott Woodward has indicated that they are going to try very hard to do that. And I think that's great because not only does it pay for those programs, it's another check that's coming to LSU.
Yeah.
And the less you have to pay in your guarantee, Skip Bertman brought this up when everybody went, oh, you can't play UL Lafayette, you can't play. He's like, wait a minute, I'm trying to save a buck here. Lafayette can bus in for the game. I don't have to pay for hotel rooms and flights and all that stuff. And that goes along. That's a bunch of money, okay? It adds up. LSU just had to come up with almost $21 million in revenue share, okay? And if you look at the staff on the football team, it's quite large, okay? All this stuff costs money.
I don't know if it's a joke. I saw a picture. It was like for the first time ever, there's more staff than players.
That's accurate.
That's insane.
And that ain't free.
Yeah.
So Red Letter Day, I think, for the league, for LSU, for college football fans in general, I think this was a great thing. It was a long time coming, but in the 80s and 90s, we used to dream about this stuff. Hey, what if we had, all good games or almost all good games? And what if there was a playoff? And what if some of those playoff games were on campus? And what if we had a true champion and we just hadn't have to leave it up to the pollsters? We're almost there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly how I would have done it. They never call me. But it's really, really close. And I'm really happy today. And people that have listened to me over the years know that I have bitched and moaned about scheduling more than probably any other topic. They got this right. They didn't do it exactly, but this is pretty doggone close. This is a really, really, really good step in the right direction for the league and for college football.
It'll make postgame a lot more fun.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you tell me you didn't look forward to the November rent-a-win postgame?
Those were probably the most miserable ones because they didn't want to watch the second half of the game.
Right. I mean, we'll watch one of those,
yeah,
especially at the beginning of the season. We don't want to watch. We don't want to watch 3. We're here at Rufino's Restaurant. Opens up here at 11. We're in the Hidden Pour. We've been back here while they are completing their renovations on the main bar, so you can join us back here today for lunch. And also, we'll be opening up the banquet room here on Sunday for the Eat the Competition dinner. This is a 5-course meal with wine pairings included. For instance, they're going to have as your appetizers your arugula roasted peaches and goat cheese candied walnuts. For your next course, it's alligator arancini. That's marinated alligator with a green onion aioli. The third course is the Bama Slander. I love the moniker there, which is a smoked beef with citrus and horseradish aioli, Razorback steak, coffee-rubbed pork steak with a bourbon blackberry glaze, and the dessert is what they call Death by Chocolate Valley. It is a chocolate espresso dessert, and there's a wine pairing with all of these things. Again, Gordy and I are going to give a preview of LSU's season and, of course, the first game with Clemson. Take questions from the audience. It's a great time on Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Call 8 tickets to go. 8 tickets are left, and then when we're sold out, we're sold out. 753-3458, 753-3458, and ask for Chelsea. Live at lunch from Rufino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Morris Insurance Group. Listen up, you're outdoorsmen. If you're looking for insurance on your hunting camp or your fishing camp, on your boat, on your RVs, on your trailers, on your ATVs, if you need help with flood insurance for your coastal properties, Big Boy Toys, and all the insurance that goes along with it, you've been having a hard time, contact the Morris Insurance Group. Get a quote today at morris-ig.com or call 201-0007. It's 201-0007 here in Baton Rouge. Ask for my man Buzzy Hydell and the Morris Insurance Group. All right, Rich, let's talk roster here for a minute. There's plenty of good to get to, but I want to start with the question that everybody has asked, which is about the offensive line. In your mind, should I feel better that there are competitions going on this deep into camp, which camp is really over. We're into game preparations, or should I? Because there's that many guys that are vying for spots, and like a true freshman, Carius Kern, who's really pushing for a spot just 3 weeks into his first fall camp, or should I feel nervous that the continuity is not there and that there haven't been 5 guys that have stood out from the rest?
I could go either way on this one. I think that the reason I feel good about it is because it seemed like the first half of camp you had 4 starters. I mean, they were looking for another guard, but you had Weston Davis taking every snap at right tackle. You had DJ Chester at left guard. You had Tyree Adams. They were trying to figure it out, but it seemed like there was 4 consistent. And then the last week you go in there and you kind of throw in a curveball where you're talking about trying to figure out that left guard and adding competition at right tackle. I think competition is the best thing for anybody. I mean, when he says there wasn't enough competition for Weston Davis, I mean, that means there wasn't anybody to push him. You want someone to be pushed. I mean, the best years I ever had is when I was worried about somebody behind me. So, I mean, there's a positive in the fact that, competition makes people great, but there's also, this late when you start talking about it, but knowing that there was 4 pretty early on that everybody was comfortable with, and you had Joe Sloan talking about feeling like the tackles were settled and feeling like, the center was settled and one of the guards was settled. So I feel pretty good about it right now.
I feel like Carius Kern is the real wild card here, and I feel about him like I did about Emory Jones's freshman year, although they're different body types, but they're both primarily tackles. And what I felt about Jones in that camp was he may not start game 1, which he didn't, but it's not going to be long before they get him in the starting lineup, and once they get him in, he's never coming out. And that's how I feel about Kern, who I believe has all-conference potential, if not even higher than that. So he may not be out there for the first game as with the first group, but I don't think it's going to be long before he gets in there, whether that's at tackle or at guard. So my question to you is, how much is asking too much of a true freshman to learn left tackle, where he is the backup to Tyree Adams, right tackle now, where he is no worse than the swing tackle as the third guy, and a little bit of guard because he may end up being the guy there too?
That's tough. I mean, the hardest thing transitioning from high school to college is understanding defenses, understanding your assignment. In high school, you're asked to beat the guy in front of you 90% of the time, and that's what you did. So when you're asking the guy to play the tackle position and the guard position, I consider it pretty tough. But if they're asking him to do it and you're getting positive results out of it, I mean, that speaks more to him. I mean, that's specific to each player. He might just completely understand it, and it came out the blocks and gets the tackle position. So they start mixing in some guard. For me, it's tough for 90% of players, but, I don't know him personally. And if they feel comfortable with the guy, I mean, he might just have it.
He's pushing. There's no question that he is going to ram his way into this lineup at some point. I still have a hard time grasping true freshmen as starting offensive linemen. Other than quarterback, I think it's the toughest, toughest transition. But it is now a thing. Okay, there's just too much turnover. I tell this story. Alan Faneca redshirted. Okay, the guy's in the Hall of
Almost every
Fame.
offensive lineman used to redshirt.
Over a 25-year period, I think there was one at LSU that started as a true freshman from game 1. And now I don't want to say it's common, but it's at least a lot more common than it used to be.
The first one that, I remember was in my signing class and started day 1 at Alabama. I think his name was Andre Smith. Mm-hmm. I played with him in the All-American game.
Who was the top recruit in the class, if I remember.
He was the biggest recruit in the class. And, when I saw him do it, that was a shocker to me. That was the first time we're like, man, you just don't. Offensive linemen usually need a year in the weight room to get up here and play grown man ball. But when you saw him do it, and then you start seeing it later on, Saron Black, he started 4 years, but he was a redshirt guy. Saron redshirted his freshman year, then started for 4 years at left tackle. So, traditionally you need to, but I also think the game's different. High school's different now. These kids, I went to the Central scrimmage last night. Kids are huge. I watched the freshmen. I walked out there after our practice. I see the freshman team out there, and I'm like, man, they're pretty big. And I thought it was the varsity at first. Like just the
freshman team.
The freshman team. I thought it was varsity. These guys are just getting bigger and bigger. And I think the way that the kids are training in high school, the way that people are going to these specialists and going to these camps, and people are camped out. I think people are getting ready sooner.
Let's get to your wheelhouse, the tight ends, because there have been nothing, and the practices I've been to, there have been nothing but glowing reports about the transition that Bauer Sharp has made. We saw him last year at Oklahoma. We know a little bit about him from his time at Southeastern, and he had a very good year last year for Oklahoma. And, of course, Trey'Dez Green, who we know plenty about and has had I would say, an eye-opening camp. You got these two guys to play with in – I think you can do a lot of creative things.
Well, I think Bauer Sharp, and I'm not saying talent-wise because Mason Taylor was outstanding, but he's a direct replacement for Mason Taylor. I think that they're similar build. I think Bauer's 6'5", 245. He's an athletic guy. He's a guy that's he's played the Wildcat quarterback in college. He's got the most college appearances. He's your most veteran guy. And he's a gritty guy. When you go out there and watch some of the film, he's a guy that wants to throw his head in there. And then you go over to Trey'Dez. Trey'Dez is just a freak. I mean, he's 6'7", 240. He's a guy that flies. We talked about him like last year. He had terrible technique, but he had the want to get in there and try to block guys. I think another year in the program, he's understanding that. He's going to understand his body, understand more just technique. I watched him play in high school. He lined out wide and ran a go route every time. So he had a lot more learning curve to get here and understand, getting on the line of scrimmage, understanding who to block, how to use your leverage. So I feel good about those two. Donovan Green, he's the one that's, to me, I haven't been out there. Most questions around him because he's a guy that had a lot of production as a true freshman and never started again. All of his starts in his career come as a true freshman, but he's another guy that's 6'4", 250. He's a bigger body guy. The ones that I would love to hear about, and I haven't heard anything much about J.D. LaFleur. I mean, he's their biggest tight end right now. He's 6'7", 255. He's got the frame. He's a guy that I think later in the season could come along as a guy that can get in there and do some blocking. Yeah,
I just think it's one of those deals where there's not room for him to run with certainly not the ones.
It's not the Les Miles offense where we ran out there with three tight ends.
No, it's not. Les Miles would have loved Bo Bordelon because I look at Bo Bordelon, who's been running backup right tackle, and I see Josh Durasic, a tall, lean guy that's still in the vicinity of 300 pounds, but could get in there and play offensive line, could also be your third tight. Go swap. I remember Durasic go swap jerseys and be the tight end, the third tight end, the goal line.
My whole career we had an offensive lineman that had two jerseys on the sideline. There was somebody that's going to swap into an 80 number.
And I think they've got enough tight ends that they're not going to have to do that. But I think they're in pretty good shape there. I think it opens up a huge amount of creative sets that Joe Sloan can do. When you have two tight ends that can catch the football the way that they do, and the number of receivers, and we're gonna talk probably about 5 or 6 receivers that are going to see, I think, extensive playing time, and not just in blocks. I'm talking about in real time. That's just a whole bunch of things.
Just what Trey'Dez Green brings. I mean, look. Last year he played a lot of wide receiver. We kind of moved him back to wide receiver. So I hope that everybody realizes those touchdowns, all of them don't count. That's a little bit receiver side.
I see what you did there.
He got 4 touchdowns on 13 catches. That's not fair.
You're holding on to that touchdown
receiver
record,
stuff right there. That's the last one I got. But just a guy that can do that, a guy that can move like that, that is fluent in playing wide receiver. You can go out there and run 2 tight sets and then move to 3 wide. You don't really, having those 2 guys in the game at one time doesn't dictate what offense you're running.
I'm going to say this a lot probably next week. There are big plays to be made with these guys that we're talking about. This is not, I don't think, a team that's going to be able to line up and just play smash mouth football. No. Nor is that necessary. I think the 2019 team never really lined up and smashed you, okay? No. A little bit, okay? But Clyde did most of his damage, in space. I think this team is more like that team. It's a quarterback that wants to throw the ball down the field. It's a lot of talented receivers. It's an offensive line that is still in flux, but I can't expect them to be a bunch of maulers at the point of attack from day one. So let's work your strength. Work the big plays down the field.
I'm good with that. Last year and previous years, what we need though. The only thing is, put your big back in there. Caleb Jackson Durham. I don't want to see pass plays on 3rd and 1. I don't want to see getting cute on 3rd and 1. That's where I want to see a guy that can get in there and they make one play, 2 plays that you have that you can go in there and be confident and run a power run up the middle.
I'm not sure you're going to get that,
but
we'll see. But I'm not.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners, because when it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike. So let Coastal Capital Advisors work with you, your business partners, your legal team, tax professionals to make sure all your retirement goals are achieved. Got a call this afternoon, as a matter of fact, with Phil. Coastal Capital Advisors will work for you. They've been working for me for a long time. Phil Fontenot and his staff online. You can contact them, coastalcapitaladv.com, coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Just 8 seats remaining for our Eat the Competition dinner Sunday night at 6 o'clock. This 5-course meal with wine pairings starts at 6 o'clock. Call 753-3458. And as for Chelsea, 753-3458. We've got 8 seats left for Eat the Competition on Sunday night. Rich, on defense, through this camp, I think that there's been a lot of, I don't want to call it surprise, but I don't have a better word, that the defense is this far advanced.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about it back when we did the Handycast, the podcast with the transfer class, and we talked about all these guys, and we started going through the depth chart. I was like, man, they got a lot of guys, and I added it up the other day. Depending on who starts the opener on the defensive line and in the secondary at safety, you're going to have somewhere between 80 and 95 starts on the second unit for guys that have come in. So with all that, we went through, we showed film on everybody that LSU got back in February. We didn't have any film at the time because they hadn't gotten 2 guys that may make the biggest impact of all, Bernard Gooden and A.J. Halsey.
Yeah.
Halsey was an all Big 12 player at Houston. Gooden has been close to unblockable at times at defensive tackle. So even when you think you know the roster, coming out of spring, these little tweaks, and I'm telling you, these 2 guys may end up making the biggest impact of anybody on the defense.
It's guys that, you come from Houston, you get into this summer program with these guys, you're around better athletes. What did we talk about earlier? I mean, competition makes you better. When Halsey shows up from Houston and he's going against these other guys that are brought in to be, he's got to win a spot. It's all about competition from the day he got here. So, I mean, competition is going to make these guys better. Gooden has been, heard nothing but great things. I mean, he's been, like you said, unblockable. Everybody raves about Halsey. I think the defense, I mean, there's no excuse this year. We talked about it in years past where you watch the game tape and you're like, there's just not a lot of dudes out there. There's not the guys we used to watch playing. This is the first time I think that, that's not going to be the excuse.
And I think that the fresh legs that they're going to be able to have with that defensive line rotation. I think in the fourth quarter of games all year long, it's going to be a big thing. And I think when LSU gets to November, I think that this roster is going to be in better shape. You can sustain an injury. I mean, injuries are inevitable. Yeah. So they're not one injury away from a catastrophe. We've seen some of these years. Man, they lose one of these defensive tackles, God bless. Yeah. I don't think that's the case. Talk to me about Bernard Gooden playing at, I'm going to say, roughly 270 pounds. They're talking about him starting, possibly, which is fine. I'm a touch concerned about his snap count getting too high at 270 pounds on the interior. He's going to be routinely going up against guys that are 40 to 50 pounds heavier than him, but he's been beating those guys.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it all depends on the style of offense you're playing. If you're getting a pass-heavy offense, it's a guy that's not going to be just ran into the ground. You're not going to take a lot of double teams where guys are pushing you, try to drive you back and making you the push point. But, we were talking earlier, to me, you can start all the way, that's fine. But, the big impact for me is, second and long, third down, a guy that can, he sounds a lot better, but what Suggs did last year, didn't get a lot of snaps. But when he came in on a 3rd and long or 2nd and long, he was a guy that was electric off with the first step, got in the backfield and created some havoc.
In a 3rd down, I can see a scenario where Patrick Payton comes into the game on the outside, or maybe Jamari Butler comes in the game on the outside. Pyburn kicks down, and then Gooden is there. That's a pretty fast defensive front against.
Oh, and don't forget about Harold Perkins coming off the side.
Oh, by the way, he's still there. As long as they manage Gooden's snap count. When you hear undersized, somebody asked me the other day, he's like Mekhi Wingo? I said, no, he's nothing like Mekhi Wingo. Wingo, he's a good 4 or 5 inches taller than Wingo was. Wingo was short, but he was thick. This kid's long and lean, but he is lightning quick.
No, I mean, and that's, he's got the perfect guy teaching him. Kyle Williams was always known as a more undersized defensive tackle. If you're going to learn from anybody, that Kyle Williams was an every down guy. So when I start thinking about being undersized and being worn down, Kyle wasn't. And if you're going to learn from anybody, that's the guy to teach you.
Can I tell you, I feel very good about Kyle Williams being on this coaching staff.
Oh, I love it.
Very good about Kyle Williams being on this staff. All right, talk to me about Whit Weeks. You've had every injury known to man. They're sort of easing up on the workload with him. We saw the ankle injury in the bowl game. I'm sure you've had something like this.
Ankle's probably the only thing I never had, but.
You're my medical guy because you can speak firsthand about it.
Oh, yeah. It's a thing that, I get lightening your workload. And he's also a junior. By the time you get to that back end of your career there, they didn't run you into the ground as much. There's guys that, when their work ethic, their mindset, how they work in the film room, how they work in the weight room, how they do everything outside of practice, you can understand giving them a little bit more time off. I think it's something that, he's ready to roll. He's, to me, he's the most exciting person to watch on defense, and I completely understand it. Going into my senior year, I had a lot of days off just trying to keep my knees right, and trying to keep my hamstrings right. But everything else I've heard is it's a planned rest day. So as long as it stays in that planned rest day to where it's all part of the game plan, I feel good about it.
Same thing with Harold Perkins, who has missed almost no time. He had a personal day the other day, but has missed almost no time. The practices I've been to, I've watched him run. If I didn't know he had an injury that ended last season, I wouldn't know. And I've seen him run in coverage, which has been really impressive because, oh, by the way, the guy's fast.
Yeah.
It will infuriate me to the end of my life that they spent 2 years trying to jam this guy to the inside when everybody was screaming, stop doing that.
Yeah.
But now that awful experiment is over, watching him on the outside, you're like, oh, yeah. I remember him.
The biggest difference is there's about a 2.5 month time frame between their injuries. I mean,
that's true, yeah.
He was
mid-season.
very early. Weeks was at the end.
Actually, before midseason, yeah.
And so, and that might be why you see he's on the field. He's had that extra 2 months, month and a half, whatever it is, to, kind of go through things. And right now, everybody knows, and I think Blake Baker knows, Whit Weeks is important. He's the leader on that defense. He's the guy that is going to get everybody going, and they just got to make sure he's right.
And now we circle all the way back around to the guy, the one guy that they can't lose, which is Nussmeier. I think they could sustain an injury anywhere on this team and be okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to lose anybody, but like I said, it's football. There's going to be guys get hurt. When we had the little scare a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was like, what happened? You could, see your entire season, comes before your eyes. It's like, oh, crap, they're going back to the Music City Bowl. But no, he was fine. I like Michael Van Buren as a backup. I think he's what I call a limited insurance policy.
Yeah.
If they need him for a game or 2 games or, pieces here and there, if Nussmeier's dinged, okay. But if he has to play at Clemson or if he has to play at Alabama, I think that's probably going to be a bit much to ask. But Nuss is fine. And he's embraced all of this. He's embraced the leadership. He's embraced the changes that they've made to the offense. You harp on this all the time. You see, you guys won the national championship in 2007. You won it in the summer. Flynn did put all of the things together, and damn it, you had a great summer. And the next year you didn't, and 08 wasn't as good. Everything I can see is that Nussmeier has done all of this.
Yeah, it's not what you see from him; it's what you hear about from other players.
Yeah.
When you have a leader that's a quarterback, he demands that you're there in the summer. He's a guy that everybody shows up for because that's the one guy they don't want to piss off. That's the one guy that they don't want to disappoint. You feel, an obligation to support this guy, and when you don't have that leadership at quarterback, when the guy's not sure about it, no one is excited to get there. So, everything I've heard about Nussmeier, I watched the documentary on Netflix, which was pretty cool. And, Whit Weeks says that he's the leader of this team. He goes. And so when he's talking about him that way, you understand the type of leadership that Whit Weeks has. And then to say that, he's saying that, no, Nuss is the real leader of this team, I have all confidence that he got things done in the summer.
And you're going into about as hostile an environment as you can, playing just about as good a team as you can play. Any other quarterback, a younger quarterback, I'd be like, man, this is a really big ask. For Nussmeier, I think he's seen it.
He's
been in these big games, and he came back to win the whole thing.
That's what he came back for. This is, I'm not used to having so much focus on game one, and typically that kind of irritates me, but this is what they came back for. They're wanting to win every single game. Game one's big. The biggest conversation that's been around for the last 5 years is we haven't won a season opener. And, I think that they got the right people in place.
That may be mentioned next week a few times. We're brought to you by the Thibodaux Store and the Pierre Part Store. Thibodaux Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, and the Pierre Part Store, Highway 70 in Pierre Part. If you're getting ready for tailgating, this is the places to go. All of your grills, all of your griddles, all of your crawfish pots, all of your jambalaya pots, all the way up to your big green egg cookers for your home, outdoor kitchens, and all of the accessories that go with them are available at these stores. Look, this is a tailgater's dream to be able to go in here and get all of your supplies. A lot of these things you can get on the website at thethibodeauxstore.com. Some of them are available for delivery. So get yourself ready for football season with your gear from the Thibodaux Store. Also for all your home improvement projects, they'll give expert advice so you're not wasting time and money. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, Highway 70, the Pierre Part Store in Pierre Part, and online, thethibodeauxstore.com. Back to wrap up hour number one, live at lunch from Ruffino's.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
After hour number one, the last 2 hours of the show will be out from Las Vegas. Jimmy and Max out for Circa's big kickoff weekend for their contest. Our kickoff for Eat the Competition here at Ruffino's on Sunday night. 8 tickets remaining, and I think she just took a phone call, so maybe even less than that. 753-3458, 5-course meal on Sunday night. Gordy Rush and I will be giving a little presentation on LSU. Take questions from the audience. It's a fantastic event. 6 o'clock on Sunday night. Come on out. We got a few tickets left, 753-3458. Rich, all summer long, we've been hearing about Clemson. I'm delighted about the focus on the first game. I understand why they are doing things maybe a little bit differently to put more focus on it. Ball State got 6 games in the Southeastern Conference against ranked opponents after this, okay? I'm trying to set a backfire early. They lose this game, it's not the end of the world. They got to win 10 to get in the playoff, in my opinion. If you rank the degree of difficulty in all these games, Clemson's number 1. It's the highest-ranked team they play, and it's a true road game. Alabama would be number 2. There's a lot of season here, man. Yeah. There's a lot of meat on the bone. So if they do lose, and I hope they win, obviously, but if they do lose, there's plenty of season left.
And, we've seen the last 2 years when you lose the first game, we've typically bounced back pretty quick. I'm just looking forward to this one. I'm excited. It's a game that, I'm just fired up for it. And, of course, look, I want to go out there and beat the hell out of Clemson because I just think they're kind of annoying to me. But, like you said, it's
any
not
particular reason?
Dabo's just kind of corny.
Okay. That's fine.
That's it.
I think that explain to everybody. And the other thing, if they win, you don't get to go straight to the playoffs. I mean, it's
you got to flush it really quick.
Yeah, you can't advance to go and okay, we'll see you in the quarterfinals. So anyway, all right. Thanks to everybody here at Ruffino's. Again, to eat the competition dinner on Sunday night. Restaurant opening up right now. Let's have a little lunch. We'll turn it over to the guys in Las Vegas for the Big Circa weekend. For Richard, I'm Charles, and for Jordan back in the studio, this has been hour number 1 of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yes, of course, Ruffino's is getting ready for their Eat the Competition wine dinner. That's a Sunday evening as we kick off the LSU football season with all kinds of fanfare. And boy, Chef Patrick has a great menu set up. Orange Swift wines they're pouring this weekend, so hey, look, and they're very generous with the pour as well. I'm not going to be there. I will, and it's one of my favorite functions each and every year to start. Everybody's enthusiastic about the season, and I have to tell you, this is Brian Kelly's best roster, there's no doubt. He got off his ass and started to recruit a little bit, and so we got a fighting chance this year, so we will see. They're not only good, but they're deep. But Charlie and Gordy will handle that. We're live here at Circa, downtown Las Vegas, Ultimate Contest Weekend, Day 2. Day 3 of the Matt Gotro travel monitor. Huh, Chris? He started on Wednesday. He got delayed till Thursday. It was in Dallas. He was redirected to Phoenix, spent the night in Phoenix last night, and he has touchdown in Las Vegas now, so he's on his way here to the ballroom at Circa.
By the time he gets here, he's going to be on his way home.
Mike Palm is with us over here, VP of Operations at Circa. Mike, good to see you, man.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you this
morning?
morning?
Doing great, man. You guys dipped your toe into the water in the SEC country, huh, in Franklin, Kentucky, so that's a great deal, man. Kentucky Downs. How describe exactly the setup there? A mini Circa of sorts in the South?
It's an exact replica of the book we have downstairs here, but about 2/3 the size. And you actually have more cutting-edge tech, right? Because you got the 2025 technology for the Daktronics boards. I'm really impressed with the way it turned out. It was part of their overall expansion. I mean, if you're standing in the middle of the sports book today, that was a parking lot. That was just gravel 2 years ago. And they expanded it because they built a beautiful center bar. I'm very impressed by that as well. But the Mint has done a great job, and we're happy to be in the region, right? I mean, obviously, a big key is to get those people to drive 45 minutes from Nashville to come up, because that's the big population center near there. But, of course, we're, statewide on the app, so everybody's worried about, we got to get started for football. I said, hell, just get up mid-November. The SEC's a basketball conference. So let's not worry about football, all right? They're a baseball conference first and a basketball conference second.
Yeah, Vanderbilt
Mike,
baseball.
watch your step, boy. But seriously, the last time LSU played in Nashville at Vanderbilt, they ran out of beer in the second quarter, so there will be a huge contingency of our you saw how they traveled here to Las Vegas last year.
A lot of security guards at Stadium Swim made $20 from the LSU fans saying they were going to drink us. They have no idea how much beer we have on hand.
No, but they have drank out some venues in the past, not Las Vegas, and I tried to tell them that as well. But there will be a lot of them making that trip to Nashville. They love Nashville, but 45 minutes, they've heard us talk about how great Circa is. A lot of them came, put their eyeballs on this. Derek and you guys were so kind enough to allow free admission to Stadium Swim for that pool party. And so just to kind of get a glimpse of it. So a 45-minute day trip, no, that's not too much to ask on a college football weekend.
Hell, the LSU fans go up to Omaha if the team's not even there and party, right?
Yes,
I mean, that'll tell you about LSU.
Yeah, so, let's bring the Tiger up there and just parade him around. How did that go? Because there's so many people that make that trip in. Well, you guys there for the first weekend. The second wave, when they see that LSU's going to advance, then it really increases, up to 5-figure, a fan base that will make that trip. So
Yeah,
they've been there a lot. But you guys, the first time experience.
I'm from Iowa, so I've been to Omaha 50 times, but never during the College World Series. I was blown away by the atmosphere. Very fan-friendly. They have a Little League tournament that happens the same time as the first week in the College World Series. Over 600 Little League teams from across the country come in there. So it's families. It's such a collegial atmosphere. Arkansas and LSU were matched up, right?
Right.
Arkansas and LSU fans are arm in arm. You won't see that in a football game. But you see it there, and it's such a good family atmosphere. I wish I'd have stayed longer, actually, and maybe next year when we go out, I'll try to work out to maybe stay 4 or 5 days.
I would advise. I like the first weekend though, when you know you're going to play those 2 games, and also all 8 fan bases are kind of interactive.
Yeah, that Friday, Saturday, you got everybody there.
Yes, yes. Chris, you signed up, huh? You got a host that you're taking back to San Diego.
Yeah, we got 7 Circa Survivors. We got 1 Circa Million. Hopefully we'll leave here today with a nice NFL future, courtesy of Mike and Derek. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited about it, and used.
Well, you're working him on the air, working him publicly.
Well, you gotta fine tune your blackjack skills. We're not giving them away.
If you win first place, if you get I think it's 3,000 is the first place.
Okay.
Maybe it's 4, but if you win first place, who are you taking in for the Super Bowl?
Well, my top pick for Super Bowl and my favorite team by far this year is the Ravens. Whether I would take them,
that's mine.
Whether I would take them in a future is different because obviously the odds are a lot less. Our good buddy Scotty Tribuco, he I thought had a really good pick in the blackjack contest last week, where he took Tampa Bay as the 6th pick at 29-1. And he had a $5,000 future, and 29-1, a $5,000 future. That gives you a lot of room to play with down the road with hedging. And I think Tampa Bay, they had some really good news yesterday with Tristan Wirfs and Godwin.
Oh, when's he coming back?
Both being activated to the 53-man roster off the PUP, so they're not going to be out for the first 6 weeks of the season.
Wirfs huge.
They might be out for the first week, but they're not going to be out for the extended time like they originally thought. So Tampa Bay might be a team that you might look at.
Who would
value.
you take, Mike?
Well, if I had a $3,000 future, I'm with Chris. I'm not looking to take somebody at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10-1. I'm very high on the Vikings. And maybe I roll the dice that McCarthy's is as good as O'Connell thinks he's going to be. My other choice would be the Broncos. I'm really impressed with the depth of this defense. It's less than 2 years ago they gave up 70 points in Miami. And what they've done with that team, if Bo Nix takes any step forward, those would be probably the 2 teams I mind. Are you worried about Lamar's foot or ankle or whatever they're talking about?
He got stepped on. First off, the original report was he was shaking his wrist walking off the field.
Yeah, right.
But then he said he twisted his ankle or someone stepped on his ankle. It's like.
And nobody yesterday asked Harbaugh about the wrist. Nobody in that press room had the thing to say, well, wait a minute, what about the wrist? Thankfully the x-rays on his foot were negative.
I hope Lamar is just fine. I wasn't the biggest Lamar fan. I thought Deshaun Watson should have won the Heisman that year. I wasn't a big fan of Lamar coming through the NFL. I just thought he was more of a run, couldn't throw the ball. But, he's proven me wrong. Last year, 41 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Probably should have won the MVP. I know we had a little Lamar fatigue, but this team's completely loaded. They drafted well on defense. They're my favorite. I just can't see them not being in the AFC Championship game this year. And I've anchored all my future parlays with Baltimore for the AFC. So I'm hoping Lamar's not.
Monken, who came through LSU at some point as well, who was highly criticized because they forgot their running game in the conference championship game when they hosted the Chiefs. But he has to get some credit for helping develop Lamar. We know he can run. Okay, but, making throws from the pocket, becoming a more accomplished passer, more dependable passer. He's certainly he's made some big strides in that area.
Jimmy, they hired the wrong Monken. They should have hired Jeff out of Army. They would have run the football against the Chiefs, and they would have been in the Super Bowl. All right.
Oh. That's one game, and he does get some get some shade on that. But still, just like Daboll, you don't think he gets some of the credit for helping? Do we need to go back and jog your memory for that? The Bills at Houston Saturday wild card game where he was running back, throwing the ball up in the air. To become more of an accomplished passer.
No, Daboll is an excellent coach, and that's why I felt bad for Daboll. He's been saddled with no no quarterback with the Giants. Maybe he's finally got something with Dart. He looks. I was texting friends of mine, Patriots fans last night watching the game. I go, I hate to say it, but Jackson Dart looks the part. He looks like he's an NFL quarterback. He's got the size. He's got enough mobility. He's got arm strength. I know it's preseason.
No, I want to ask you this because and you watch a lot of SEC football. Mississippi last year was 103rd in red zone efficiency. Is that Dart or is that Kiffin?
It's a little bit of Kiffin.
Kiffin.
Yeah,
I think the play calling. They were bringing in that. Remember, half of their short yardage plays, they'd bring in that 400-pound kid and run the ball. He fumbled
it was too predictable against Florida, where they were like 50-50, and you can't be that. Listen, Kiffin has done a lot of good things, a lot of areas, especially in this new era of college football. He has the best conference SEC winning percentage since Johnny Vaught, the late 50s and early 60s. Okay, so they've always been a second half, a bottom half resource program in the SEC. But he has raised them up a little bit because he is a person who is excited and worked the booster, the fan base, to give a little money, give them a little NIL budget. They had a much better roster last year, but they also had much higher expectations. In the Runts don't handle expectations. They're one of my secrets. I love them over 8.5 this year. So, Mike, tell us, you're in these meetings to try and create the guarantee and everything. And so where are we at expectation-wise? And you try to kind of tone Derek down as he gets excited with some of these big guarantees. But just give us a little peek behind the curtain on, coming up with the different the 3 now football contests that we have over here at Circa.
Yeah, Jeff Benson and I try to be the voice of reason because we don't want to have an overlay. This year, though, Derek was very conservative. 14 last year. It's going to be – worst case scenario, I would think we would be at 18.
Okay.
But he came with 15, and we're going to do 6 again and say 21 million. I was worried he's going to say 20 because I think 20, we were pushing to get to 20. If you extrapolate the figures out today, year over year where we were, it's right at 20 million.
Okay.
I think we'll come in somewhere between 19.5 and 20, which is incredible. I really want to get to the 20 million, and if we fall just short, I'll blame Derek for his Rich Boy Grandissimo contest. I must say that cannibalized us and stopped our rate of growth.
Yeah, how is the rich?
20 people in this thing.
Crazy.
I couldn't believe that on August 1st we had 11. I said we're only going to know the week of because people aren't going to just let 100 sit all summer. People aren't going to. But I guess my 100,000 spend's different than these guys that are getting this.
I'm shocked anyone would have signed up for Grandissimo before the first game, like the day before.
It's random. It's randoms, Chris. Some guy signed up on Tuesday. He's from Miami, runs a business. He was vacationing in Salt Lake City and saw something on his phone about it and took a flight to Vegas and put 110. He did 10 survivors in a Grandissimo. A farmer from Illinois came in and did 2. I've never heard of these people. But this attracted them, this $100,000 tournament.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a tribute to Derek and your advertising staff. We talked about it yesterday. If you go up and down the strip, the Circa Survivor Millions is on the back of the Vegas magazine. It's at the gas station. You're hearing them go, "What's the guarantee?"
Urinal cakes are next. I said that's just where we're on the gas pumps. Where's the urinal cakes?
Mike, as we close out this first segment again, anything like the Ultimate Contest weekend, the calendar, we got a lot of events going on. You have a big Circa football preview tomorrow with a great cast, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow as well. Just some final touches on what's going on this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to do this blackjack tournament tonight. Anybody that did 3 entries or more combined in the contest, we're going to give away $10,000 in Super Bowl futures. First 80 guys that show up from 5 to 6. Then we'll start it at 6. I love doing the preview panel every year. 7th time. I've never repeated anybody. We've come a long way from Mitch Moss, Gil, Matt Humans, and Paul Stone year 1. I've had a former pro player on every year. Of course, we have Mike Pritchard. Chuck Edel's great. If people don't know him, he's from Chicago. He's a professional bettor. Him and Aaron Renning, I like to say, are the 2 guys that come on VEASAN that actually have made their living for 20 years as a bettor. There's a lot of guys come on and give out picks and stuff like that, but these guys have lived it, right? They've walked the walk.
Well, Chuck was pretty unbelievable last year in the Friday football contest. I ended up getting 3rd, but I was a distant 3rd to him. He was like 40 games over 500. It was unbelievable.
Alex White finished 2nd, and then everybody, most people know from NBC or from Gil Shore, his podcast, Drew Densick, the whale capper, and then Sam Monson, who's a really sharp analytics guy, used to be the lead guy for Pro Football Focus for years. So I think it's a good balanced panel.
Aaron Renning is a Cal Ripken entry every second weekend at Del Mar for the contest. We see them there every year.
Do you know who the first person we interviewed to be the director at Circa Sports when we started it was? was Aaron Renning.
Really?
Yeah, he applied for the job, and then the second interview was John Murray. John Murray said, Westgate, give me a week. When he walked out the door, I said to Derek, there's no way he's taking it. He's going back. He's leveraging Jay, and he's going to get a big fat deal from Westgate. He came back. Yeah, Jay came with the money. But interview this guy, Matt Metcalf. Who the hell is Matt Metcalf? Well, thanks to John Murray, he gave us Matt Metcalf, and here we are today.
Awesome. Best future on the way out, Mike, college or pro?
Washington Huskies to make the playoff.
Okay.
I think they could be the fourth
What
team
number
out
are
of
we
the
looking
Big
at them?
You can still get 14-1 on them.
Okay.
So I'm down on Illinois and Indiana. I think they could be the fourth team in the Big Ten.
A sneaky good quarterback.
Yeah, they do. And I think Fish this year, we're going to see how good Jed Fish is.
Speaking of long way, Max has made it, huh?
Straight from the Sky Harbor in Phoenix.
Max Notro, huh?
See us, sucker, Max.
Yes, indeed. Mike, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yes,
thank you.
indeed.
Good seeing
Always
you.
great
We'll
to
see you
see
for the blackjack
Yeah,
tournament tonight, Chris.
Take your time out. We're live here at Ultimate Contest Weekend, downtown Las Vegas at Circa. It's Football Friday. It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments. We'll be back live at lunch. ESPN 104.5 Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, live here at Ultimate Contest Weekend here in Las Vegas, downtown Las Vegas at the Circa. Again, Jimmy Ott, Chris Massaro, thanks to VP of Operations for Circa, Mike Palm from Steppin. Never short for words, huh, Chris?
That's why they call him the maestro.
Patrick Everson of VegasInsider.com, who's been with us, I've hung out. We've hung out, watch LSU Alabama. So I mean,
yes.
we don't. I'm not sharing space with LSU Alabama people too much, Patrick. But we saw Jaden Daniels go down. We were all surprised. We're at Rohan Davies' wedding the next week. Kevin Falk and I,
expatriates.
Kevin Falk and I were watching at the Windsor Court poolside. We're like, Jaden Daniels just put up 700 total yards. We watched that. So I know you're Patriots, huh?
No one was a bigger Kevin Falk fan than I was, especially. He was definitely my favorite LSU player of all time and one of my favorite Patriots because he never messed up, and he was always clutch in the times when they needed that 2-point conversion. They'd always do that fake snap to Brady.
At San Diego?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
That was that move they would always go for. They needed the 2-point conversion or they needed that 1 yard. They do the fake snap to Brady. They'd actually direct snap it to Falk. He was one of the most clutch players, and I was, huge LSU. He had the half shirt, number 5 or whatever he was.
All eyes on 3.
He was fantastic.
Yes,
on 3, yeah.
Football IQ was out the roof. Patrick Everson, so you go bouncing around over here. It's our first trip here for Ultimate Contest Weekend for Radio Row, but we've have sort of a partnership with Circa, of course, doing the pool side for LSU USC this past weekend and doing other stuff as well, the contest. But you kind of just floating around and just kind of getting a pulse and just your overall impressions of how this thing has evolved because, I mean, whether it's limousine transportation from the airport to here, rooms, I mean, there was a big cocktail party that was just, I don't know what the tab was there, down the street at the Bar Canada. They're giving away entries, free. In the blackjack contest, it's stadium swim today. It's open bar from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've got Legacy Club Mixer tonight, 8 to 10. It's not just the advertisements that you see at the gas station, Chris. I mean, Patrick, this is a lot of effort, and there's no rake. So it's talking about there's so many corporations that deal bottom line first, and then they'll, cut and everything. It's completely opposite approach by Derek Stevens on how to market this contest.
No, absolutely. And keep in mind that this weekend and then the contest all season, we'll get to that in a moment, but this is on the heels of last week. Bet Bash was here.
Right.
And, look, Spanky and his team pay for most of that, but it's amazing the events that Derek brings here and puts on. And to your point, with Ultimate Contest Weekend and the contests themselves, remember, so you've got the Circa Survivor, you got Circa Million, now you got the Circa Grandissimo with the high stakes Survivor contest. Every dollar of entry fees goes back to the contestants. So, and then they're doing this Radio Row thing this week with, as you mentioned, all the mixers and
entertaining
and food
all of us, yes,
entertainment and so forth. So it's not like you can say, okay, Circa breaks even on this. They don't break even on this.
Not close.
As you look at a whole season of all the things that you have to do to manage a contest like Circa Survivor, which could end up having 20,000 people in it this year. It was about 14,200 something last year. So it's going to be up like 33% or more. To run that contest in the Circa Million, which is going to have another 6,000. The Circa Grandissimo is only going to have, at most maybe 3 dozen, which honestly is great for it, but it'll be easier to manage. But still, you've got all these contests to manage. You've got to have customer service people for that. You've got to have tech people for that. He's like you said, he does it the opposite way. He's like, I'm going to spend and I'm going to get it back with the earned media. All the people, you guys all coming out over these last couple of days. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and all the word of mouth that you'll put out over the next couple of weeks. And I, there's quite a few people in the book this week, and there's really, the college slate this week is pretty nominal.
Right.
The NFL preseason is almost done, and a lot of teams aren't playing starter this week. There's not a lot of juice to it, but I saw a lot of people in the book on Thursday afternoon when I was out there, and I'm like, a lot of people are coming out here to sign up for the contest. The Survivor entries have boomed these last 2 weekends. You're now getting close to about 8,500. And you think, okay, well, how are they going to get to 20,000? Trust me. They may not get to 20, but they're going to get close. It's boomed these last 2 weekends. There's been like 1,400 or so each weekend, and there's going to be a ton over the next week and a half.
So, Chris, you got sort of a little consortium with your entries into the contests as well. A group of people. Will they come here during the course of the season if they're in it late? I mean, I'm just talking about, have you been here for the last couple of weekends when these groups get close that are still alive? Do you see that? And, man, I'm booked, during football season, but I'd love to come here, in those late parts of the season to see people that still have a dog in a hunt.
So my dad usually likes to come out to San Diego for Thanksgiving week. So he likes to come for either, 2 weekends of NFL. So he tries to wrap around the weekend. So last year I go, why don't we go to Circa for one of the weekends? So that was the weekend when, which they just showed in the documentary, the guy had Washington. And that was the crazy game where Dallas ran the kickoff back.
Yes,
and it was just absolute chaos. And we were sitting in the Circa book during that, and you could hear like the screams of people just, losing their Survivor ticket deep into the season on just an absolute chaotic game, Washington and Dallas.
And Jay Daniels gets a lot of credit, of course. The Hail Mary against the Bears, the comeback on Sunday night when Raheem Morris couldn't figure out the clock, against the Falcons. But that game, he had all kinds of plays too. They just fell short.
Yeah.
It was in a losing effort, but I mean that would have been.
Well, that was the one when they missed the extra point. So
yes.
It was like you had all this, and I remember watching someone had a video of the guy. It was on like on an Instagram clip or a Twitter clip, and they actually obviously used it in the documentary. But he was one of the only smart ones. It's like they still gonna make the extra point. They still gonna make the extra point, and then sure enough they missed it. And you got to feel for this guy.
Patrick, we are kind of winding down in sort of the futures. For our audience, it's more geared for college, but through kind of bouncing around and talking to different sportsbook managers, some significant action that you've seen on LSU.
Yes, definitely. I thought this was kind of interesting. This came over just this week from the folks at BetMGM, and this is BetMGM nationally, not just down in Mississippi, Louisiana, but this is nationally. And I thought this was kind of surprising. In the SEC futures, SEC championship futures, which you win the SEC, you're going to the playoff, okay? No question about that. And if you even get to the SEC title game, you're going to the playoff, and maybe even deeper than that from such a great conference. But in the SEC, LSU is taking more tickets at BetMGM than any other team to win the national title. It's not a huge margin. They're getting almost 19% of all bets. Followed by Texas and Georgia. Texas at 15.5%, Georgia at 15.3%. Texas is taking the most money. I don't think that surprises anybody, but it's not like they're running away with it. They're at about 21% of bets. LSU is actually, I take that back. Alabama, 22.3% of bets. Actually, is most in bets. Then Texas. Texas, no surprise. You got the Heisman Trophy favorite in there as well. And then comes LSU and then Georgia. So LSU is third in tickets, but number one in bets. And with that price, I mean, the price on Georgia, the price on Texas, the price on Alabama is they're all, reasonably short. But those three, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, their odds are, notably shorter than LSU. So LSU is not only taking the most tickets, but with that number, they're creating the most liability for BetMGM and odds to win the SEC.
Live here at the Ultimate Contest Weekend, downtown Las Vegas at Circa. Let's Patrick Everson from VegasInsider.com. Patrick, what about the abbreviated schedule, but any, let's just ask week 0 / the opening week, which, those lines for next week where NFL delays and they'll wait and give college football an entire 5-day opening weekend schedule. So we got a lot of those. But any week 0, week 1, unusual or significant action?
Well, no surprise. And this is from Joey Fiesel at Caesar Sports. And he said not super surprising. Kansas State, Iowa State is the marquee matchup, if you will. It is the most notable game, and he said it is seeing the most money. But Stanford, Hawaii has been really interesting. Big line movement. The Rainbow Warriors open generally is like 2.5 point home underdogs. This line has swung all the way to Hawaii -2.5, -2.5. And Joey Fiesel at Caesar said there was definitely some sharp play at the when it was in the plus range for Hawaii. He said also some the sharps he said are definitely on the under in that game. They helped push that number down a little bit, and he suggested there was some sharper action on Fresno State, Kansas, with that line going from Kansas 14 down to 12.5. Kansas at home. And he said some sharper action on Fresno, but that 12.5 he noted is kind of a no man's land. And then going ahead to kind of like this protracted week 1 or week 0, week 1, whatever you want to call it. Let's get back to your neck of the woods with LSU and Clemson. This is from Tom Gable at Borgata Sports, which is a BetMGM book up in Atlantic City. Great guy. I think you've had him on your show some. He said for that game, Clemson opens -3. He said early money laid the 3 with Clemson and got it to Clemson 3.5, and then Tuesday of this week, Clemson actually advanced to -4, and that's where they are right now. Clemson at home against LSU. And what he noted, and I think we talked about this earlier in the summer when you guys were kind enough to have me on the show, he said Clemson has been one of the most popular teams in terms of futures with bettors this offseason. Tigers opened 20-1 to win the national title. They've now cut those odds in half. So Tom said, look, I'm not surprised to see Clemson getting bet in the season opener, but that is a gem of a game. I mean, if you didn't have Texas, Ohio State, this would be the matchup of the weekend.
Yes, indeed. So LSU and Clemson playing for the first time during a regular season. So they played in bowl games. Of course, they played in the Sugar Bowl in the first national championship my dad was on, 1958, 7-0 win down in New Orleans there. Well, so, yes, Patrick, always a pleasure, man.
You bet.
You're more of a selective player. Chris and I are a little bit more volume. Give me one. Give me one future or something that you're looking at this year.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and it's not because, I'm a Colorado guy, Denver Broncos guy. But our good friend Matt Humans, if they're still plus 350 here at Circa, he's really keen on the Broncos to win the division. So I think I'm going to tail him on that. I think they're still plus 350 at Circa. If you're not getting much better than that, you might have lost the value, but think about it. It's a possibility. And I will say that BetMGM's Christian Cipollini said he's really surprised in the NFL that the Bucs and the Niners are not seeing more money to, if not, to either win the NFC or maybe even win the Super Bowl.
Schedule and division related, of course. And as far as the Broncos, just hold your breath with Bo Nix. He's not out of the woods just yet. Patrick, thank you, buddy.
You betcha. Thanks
all right. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, the Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title. 296-0060. More as we gauge where Week 0 action is. And did you jump on the Giants with that preseason, first ballot Hall of Fame preseason quarterback rotation? They put it on them again. What a 3-0 easy run ATS that was for the New York Giants. We're live here at Ultimate Contest Weekend in downtown Las Vegas at Circa 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on again.
We got to bring in Max right now. Troy, I don't know if you, Max, tell us how you traveled. Came from Baton Rouge to Las Vegas. You first started on Wednesday evening. You arrived 30 minutes ago?
Yes, a 36-hour delay. No big deal. Two weather delays and then a processing issue. As I'll go ahead and say it. American Airlines absolutely screwed me this week, but
we won't be getting any sponsorships from American Airlines this week.
Sorry about that.
Oh man, I mean, to Baton Rouge, spend the night. Dallas, diverted to Phoenix, spend the night. Your nickel.
Oh yes.
But we got you here now, so we've got. Get a nap after, but
excited to be here. When you walk into this place, it immediately, the energy levels boosted up immediately.
Good. Troy, the New York Giants. I mean, there's quarterback rotations that I tell you, man, it's been a while since four guys. Whether it's Jameis Winston, who's got about 85 career starts, and first round draft pick who's might, as far as the preseason goes, may be exceeding my expectations. And Jackson Dart to, DeVito, who's got NFL regular season experience, and another guy that's got a Super Bowl ring. So the Giants, did people get on the Giants bandwagon like me, even though an inflated number, -6.5, but it went down easily last night against the Patriots, who rested just about all their starters?
Yeah, they're one of few teams, I think only two teams that have beaten the book. At least their games, all three of their games, the public has come out on top over the book. Now, in preseason, we've actually taken a significant amount of losses overall. I mean, I think more than half the preseason games have gone the way of the public. Now, not, huge handles, not huge losses for the book, but, the public has been doing their homework because they are winning more than they are losing in the preseason. Now, will that change once we hit week one when, everyone's on the field that's supposed to be on the field? Perhaps, but the Giants have looked good. Again, how much do we take away from this? I'm not entirely sure. I think they have a good crop of quarterbacks. Even if Jameis never sees the field, a team is going to need a Jameis Winston type in week 10, and he's the type of guy who could show up anywhere and play. Russell Wilson is who Russell Wilson is. I like Jackson Dart. They're leading him along slowly. They're giving him a little bit more every week. But the thing I like is their head coach is on the hot seat, and they've put their quarterbacks, at least in preseason games, which again, we don't need a lot. They put their quarterbacks in the best position to be successful, and that's what you want from a head coach. That's what you need from a head coach who's worthy on the hot seat, is at least set up your quarterback for success. They're getting Jackson Dart to move around, a lot of different design looks to break up the eye of the defense. Obviously, Russell Wilson's first pass last week was a deep ball. That's what he does best. So they're identifying how to make their quarterbacks be successful. Whether they can be is up to the quarterback, but this is a step in the right direction for a Giants team that, many predict to be in last place in the East. And I think the East is going to be far more up and down than people think. Yes, the Eagles are still the best team, but we have no idea what the Cowboys are going to look like. We don't really know what the Commanders are going to look like because of, they're going to have a new starting running back. We don't know if Terry McLaurin is going to be there, and will Jaden Daniels be able to have an amazing year. So I think the Giants being successful in preseason is, again, we don't know how much it means towards the regular season, but it's a nice development.
As we monitor the golf as well, Scheffler just gave up a stroke, so he bogeys 8 and drops down to 8 under. So now 2 strokes behind Fleetwood and Henley. Some of our exactas alive there, Max. Hey, Chris, the Maras aren't going to give out, redo a contract for Daboll and Shane as far as the preseason is concerned. But were you surprised he brought them back? They brought these guys back?
I just think that Brian Daboll is a really good coach. And as we mentioned before in the previous segment, he's just been saddled with just horrible quarterbacks. I mean, if you don't have a good quarterback in the NFL, no matter how good of a coach you are, you're in trouble. And he's finally maybe got a guy that's intelligent enough. We all saw the clips on the draft thing, how he was able to dissect plays, read defenses, and just he looked the part last night. And I'm happy for Daboll. He's an ex-Patriot assistant, went to Buffalo as offensive coordinator, really turned around Josh Allen's career, gets the head coaching job, and he just hasn't had much to work with. And he's that questionable GM and Joe Shane, or however you pronounce his name, he hasn't given Daboll the opportunity to actually coach a good team because he just hasn't had any good offensive players.
Well, I think they are going to be
better than expected.
They're better.
Way better.
How much better? Just don't. We'll start with the quarterback, but you bring in the kid from Penn State. He ain't bad as well, and so there's. Dart may be better than I thought. I've seen Ole Miss quarterbacks put up these type of numbers in Kiffin's system, and he was still doing some things. Way too many career starts late in the season against Florida and some others that I'm just a little bit guarded because I think the Kiffin system is so quarterback friendly.
It's nice to have Malik Neighbors, though.
He's legit. There's no doubt about it. But the rest of the preseason, it's the last week. But and I was talking to Chris about the Patriots. He gave me the information that they were resting everybody. Here's the Giants, with a great quarterback rotation for preseason. But with any significant or extreme action on the rest of this last weekend of the preseason schedule?
In terms of money, not really. You'll probably see that in the next 24 hours. There's a little bit of outliers on tickets. The big one being the Ravens and the Commanders. The Commanders have not looked good in the preseason. I guess, in week 1, they didn't play anybody. Week 2, they played the starters for a couple drives, but they still, they lost by, I think, 17, 14 points. The Ravens, as I mentioned on Monday, are historically great in the preseason. I don't believe Jaden Daniels or any of the starters are going to be playing, and the Ravens have a better roster. They have the most tickets on the Ravens to win than any preseason bet this week, and they're the strongest spread play as well. Right now, 89% of the spread tickets is on the Ravens. Certainly that will come down, as any spread number does, heading into game day of NFL. But, the Ravens are the heavy pick, as well as the Eagles over the Jets. We've seen the Jets against the Giants, and the Giants dispatched them pretty well. The Eagles, a lot of tickets on them to win and cover as well.
Where's the action for tomorrow's Week 0 abbreviated schedule? And the biggest one we start off with, and that is Kansas State and Iowa State, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. out here in the desert kickoff.
Yeah, it's pretty even on the spread. Right now it's about 61% of the money is on Kansas State, and about 66% of the tickets is on Kansas State to cover. Money line is even more split. Right now it's 57% of the money's on Kansas State, with 52% of the tickets on Iowa State. And the interesting one for me is the over-under. It's at 50.5. Right now, 61% of the money, 67% of the tickets are on the over. I still think that percentage is too strong. 50.5 just seems like a lot of points for an overseas game. The fields are different. It takes a long time to get used to. Everything over there, I tried to look at the past, Ireland games. They've done them sporadically. I think we've got like 5 or 6 in 2016, and only one has gone over 50 points. I know, both these offenses can be prolific, but I think, this game's going to be played in the 40s, so I'm firmly on the under here, but the public is on the over, not super strong again, 61% of the money and 67% of the tickets on over 50.5.
Scotty Scheffler gave up a stroke, and now he has dropped down in price. So now he's plus 143 as we speak in game at Bet Rivers. And Russell Henley, second choice at plus 430. Tommy Fleetwood plus 335. Russell Henley plus 430 as those three kind of duking it out on top. And even though it's Scotty versus the field a lot of times and he's cashing tickets, you're probably still not getting maybe, fair value because, when we have you on, Troy, if Scheffler doesn't win, it's a big win for the house. I mean, they're betting Scheffler left and right pretty much every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some circumstances where if Scheffler loses, it could be close, but that would have to be a loaded leaderboard with guys like Rory and Rahm and softly and things like that. But if it isn't, or if it hasn't, if there needs to be a circumstance that takes place, a guy who's just run roughshod over the first 2 rounds of the tournament where you can't not back this guy. It is really Scheffler or bust. And, the Tiger comparisons are starting to be a little bit louder, and I don't think they're valid career to career. But if you wanted to take a sample size of Scotty's best 18 months versus Tiger's best 18 months, I think the comparison is becoming a little bit more. You wouldn't be outlandish to make the comparison. And obviously I don't know what the odds were like on Tiger tournaments. I'm sure it was even shorter than Scotty, but it's impossible not to bet on Scotty Scheffler every week to win the tournament because we just haven't seen a golfer be this dominant. If he, like I said, time and time again, if he's within 6 shots on Saturday, he's going to be the shortest price or second or third shortest price, even being 6 shots out, and you still feel like you have to take it. We just haven't seen it, so it does make the betting more fun, and it's just an incredible golfer to watch.
Max, put this thing into perspective. Where are we?
So there were top 25 seasons in the last, say, since the turn of the century, 2000. He's got 3 of them now. Tiger had a bunch of them. Tiger's got double digits.
Okay.
But he's got 3 of them. So this is 3 straight seasons that he has been among the best, in this era of golf. So he's not there to Tiger. Tiger did it for much longer, but
real quickly, is there more competition now for Scheffler than it was for Tiger?
A little bit.
I believe there is.
A little bit.
Okay. All right, Troy.
I think there's more.
What's that, Troy?
I think there's more competition for Scheffler than there is for Tiger. I think for Phil, Sergio had a moment, but golf's in a healthier place now in terms of the depth. There may not be as many elite golfers, but there weren't that many elite golfers for Tiger, and I think there are more A-tier golfers now than there were when Tiger was back.
Follow Troy on Twitter on Twitter X at Troy Macher. That's Machir. Troy, have a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you on Monday, recapping week 0, and looking forward to week 1 in college football. Thank you, Troy.
Can't wait, guys. Thank you.
All right, it's hot. Yes, it's hot. That AC breaks down. You got to call our friends at Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000. One of South Louisiana's oldest and largest air conditioning heating companies. My buddy Lucas Ragusa has worked every step of the way in the last 30 years or so with this company and knows what it takes to be a good technician, knows what it makes to make a dependable office. And so they've got offices in staffs in both New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but completely separate, not to compromise the service in either market. So in the New Orleans area, it's 841-3300. In Baton Rouge, 480-1000. 480-1000. We also have membership programs that cover all of the services that we can offer with discounts and extended warranties. Again, factory authorized dealers for Carrier, American Standard, Daikin, and Rheem products. Breaks down. Service today, every day means you'll never sleep hot. Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000. Come back to wrap up hour number 1, live here from Circa in downtown Las Vegas. The Ultimate Contest Weekend, Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Circa Sportsbook in Las Vegas. A little quick update on the Tour Championship. Scotty Scheffler putting for birdie, and he just burned the left edge on 10, so he remains 3 back of Tommy Fleetwood. Chris, Tommy Fleetwood has the lead. We might as well wrap it up. He's got this thing won, huh?
There's a 0 chance Tommy Fleetwood. Although, wouldn't it be poetic if he actually wins the Tour Championship after all these near misses this year?
He even said that in the presser. He said it would be quite funny if my first win was here after all that. I don't know if you'd put an asterisk by that or what, but Russell Henley, another one of our consensus picks this week, just 1 back. Along with Cam Young of Henley. Look at this putt, Jimmy. It looked like it was going in the whole way, but Scheffler being 3 back, I still think he's a very worthy favorite at this point.
Last week, not to cut you off, Jimmy, last week he was 5 strokes back to McIntyre.
On Sunday?
No, on Saturday. But he was 5 strokes back. He was still the favorite. He was minus 125, and McIntyre was plus 125.
Hey, don't forget our friends downtown, Town Square Pizza. Second year. So their second birthday, you coming in for LSU games this weekend. You stay in downtown hotels. It's within walking distance, 5-minute walking distance, all the major hotels downtown. Go through the lunch, fresh, hot ingredients, piping hot, and it's affordable as well. Town Square Pizza celebrating their second anniversary. Live from Circa here at Ultimate Contest Weekend, Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones.
He's out there somewhere in the world. Maybe even your local sports book.
Can anybody help us?
Let's bring in Bruce Marshall.
Well, let's bring him in. Usually over the telephone, but we're in his neck of the woods right now. Bruce Marshall joins us live here downtown Las Vegas at Circa's Ultimate Contest Weekend. Brucey, how you been, buddy?
Yeah, welcome to Nevada. I don't get downtown too much. We don't.
Last time was you gave me a ride, dropped me off, huh?
It's right before the UCLA LSU game 4 years ago. People who live here don't come down here too much, or the Strip. But we have our own places we go. But the Circa is the crown jewel of downtown. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that's where the sports books have become a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit secondary for some. Certainly the race books have. Chris, you can attest to that. I mean, I used to go a lot like Caesars, and they have this massive race book, and here's the sports book. I mean, I remember watching Magic Man Mikowski and Reggie White against the Eagles one Sunday, years ago. But that's flipped. Everybody's getting out of the race. Circa doesn't even have a race book, but just to see a lot of, the making it more, just things you can't get at home at your local sports book. A lot of these places,
you want it to look nice, and when you walk into Circa, it certainly does look nice. But I have a story of coming to friends' bachelor parties 20-something years ago. We'd go into, Caesars or the Wynn, and we were like, "Where the heck's that? Where's the NFL game? Mandalay Bay? Like, where's that?" It's all horses. And now it's like you said, it's either no horses or very limited horses. Even the Wynn doesn't even play the sound for many of the races anymore, which is it's sad for me. But we still have our fun watching them. But it is totally different now, and we got the sports and the props and the same game parlays, and that's what the younger generation wants, and that's what they're getting.
Bruce, so some of the local places on the ancillary that some places here in the Strip and charge for parking and things like that, but some of the other kind of hideouts around town that are geared for the local sports gambler.
Sure. I mean, out where I live at Green Valley, I'm right by Green Valley Ranch. I can walk.
I like that. Yeah,
it's a very nice place. And then there's a new one called Durango. The Red Rock is very nice. Those are most of the station properties, so they're sort of ringing the city. But Las Vegas has got a reckoning coming within the next few years. I mean, the numbers are way down, about 10, 11% across the board. Now, that might be from all-time highs, but you talk to people around town. On the Strip, I don't know about as much downtown, but the prices are through the roof. And you know what? The experience isn't quite what it was down there as it was in the old days. So they got I think Derek sort of got it figured out a little bit better. But the Strip, different.
I know buddy Nigel Seeley. Like I said, wait, only in Vegas I can get charged for a view from my seat or something like that. Yeah. So, but Chris, sometimes it can be upcharged on the experience if you don't have like sort of your comps or your navigational or contacts just to kind of circumvent, that people that aren't experienced travelers here.
The old saying is it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's definitely the case in Vegas. You want to know some people, you want to know some guys behind the counter, you want to know the right hosts, because, I mean, I don't want to, disparage anything about Circa of watching games, but it is kind of crazy when you have to pay huge fees now to sit down to watch a game, and that's kind of nuts. I mean, back in the day, you'd get up early, go to Caesars, get your best seat. But now that's not even available to do. I mean, I guess you can get here early and get some of the side seats, but if you want the good, comfortable marquee seats at any place now, you have to know somebody or you have to pay.
So 30 years ago, my comp pass or my food and beverage minimum charge was taken on the back of this and put it down. I mean, and people would just kind of, that was it. Just write them on a sheet of paper on the back of the sheet, the NFL sheet, taken. Bruce, observations as we enter year 2 of this 12-team playoff. And also, before we get to that, SEC going to 9 games. So the buzz back home. And Chris, I want you, because this is, does Alabama run the league? And damn it, Texas, how do you give Texas this schedule for 2 years? And Oklahoma gets the back end, and when Oklahoma's accomplished way more on the field than Texas ever has, even come close to. So everybody's trying to see who the 3 regulars will be. Alabama and LSU could be a casualty in this one because they're playing Auburn and Tennessee every year. But does Alabama want to play 3 upper half resource programs on their permanents? Hell no. No, they don't want to do that. So just like Nebraska, Oklahoma was a casualty at one point when they went to the Big 12. A lot of people really chirping. Charlie's going crazy over it because he said that the league will assign the Packers, the Giants, and the Patriots as far as LSU's three permanents. But anyway, your initial thoughts on SEC taking a step. Obviously, they're going to get compensated for the television package.
Well, I think ESPN was mainly behind it. And they've been pushing this for years. I mean, they wanted 9 right when they started the network, and they met a lot of resistance with that. But it's just the next step into where what is pushing all this stuff now. It's TV money, and listen. Other leagues have been doing it. I think it's probably okay now. How the schedules work out, I don't know. It's funny. I was talking to a Tennessee guy the other day, and he was saying, when they had the crossover for years, and they had to have that 3rd Saturday in October for Tennessee. He said, can you imagine if we had Mississippi State instead of Alabama? I mean, it didn't work out like for Tennessee to do that in the teeth of Nick Saban's reign. But I think it's overdue. Now, I'm curious like you how they're going to work the schedule.
Chris, from an outsider's perspective who pays very close attention to college football, Tennessee, Alabama, a must for you every year?
I'd rather see LSU, Alabama as an outsider. I mean, I know there's that, there's the different rivalries, the different things in the SEC that I'm not always peaked to. But I think what this really means is that we're going to see a lot more 3-loss teams in the playoff, maybe even a 4-loss team, because
the committee has to do it and quit worrying about the loss column. Because, I mean, come on. If Penn State goes 10-2 with that schedule, should they be in? I mean, come on. I think they will be.
Well, I heard Chris Felica talking today. He gave out some pick of a long shot to make the playoff, and he said Minnesota at 10-2. Minnesota at 10-2, and they lose to Oregon and Ohio State over some 9-3 or even an 8-4 SEC team that happened to lose to Alabama at LSU, and it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
Sorry, when Indiana got in there, they couldn't compete. They could not compete up front with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean that was, and then they took a loser mentality by not onside kicking and things. They just kicking.
Just gave up.
I mean, we saw the same thing out of Brian Kelly, which is at Notre Dame. He scored late in the game in a 3-possession game and kicked the extra point to keep it at a 2-possession game. Go for 2, BK. I mean, I know you got to lose, but it's the playoff. You can't just play to stay close in the playoff, and we've seen that.
I'm more interested in what the Big Ten's talking about now, and I think that's where this is going. They're talking about 24, 28. We're going to live to see that.
Well, it's not going backwards.
No, it's not going backwards.
Yes,
no,
okay.
It's going to
so
go
it can only go. It can only expand.
They're talking about 7 each from the Big Ten and the SEC. I think it's going to get there. Not too long down the road, but we'll live to see it.
We once debated in the South whether or not a playoff was good for college football. Well, if you don't, you got crap. Excuse me, almost that's left with Auburn claiming 7 national titles this week. But you have until you got those thieves with the tacky sports coats and all but the ski mask, the bowl representatives, those thieves out the equation. You want meaningful college football games with something on the mountain, So anyway, we'll see.
My dream is to get one of those jobs from one of the bowl committees.
Oh, you get that jacket on?
Yeah, get that jacket, go every weekend.
You only work, 2 days a year, right? You make $480,000.
Yes, I want that job.
My idol is Harold Grader, nice guy up in Memphis. Used to be on TV. He is the head of the Liberty Bowl committee, He works about a week a year, and he goes to the media days. He's the nicest guy in the world, but he has got the best job in the world.
And when you come through town, these schools are giving you velvet rope treatment, the whole bit. It is a joke. Brucey, any thoughts? A team, how about the teams that had special seasons, unexpected seasons, like Syracuse, Indiana, SMU, Illinois? Help me if I'm forgetting any about, kind of those non-traditional powers that usually have a bounce year the following.
Yeah.
Any of those fit that category?
Sure, there could be. And by the way, looking back at last year, at this point last year, would we have been saying Indiana, Arizona State, even SMU into the final?
Arizona State was definitely in there, yes.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't have. So, it could go a lot of different directions. Mostly, I think a league like the Big 12 that seems kind of open. So maybe somebody could slip, or a team or two could slip to there. They'll probably get 2 spots out of the Big 12. It's very possible they could. Good game starting tomorrow.
Absolutely. And, I was going to say that. You look at just the win totals in the Power 4 conferences. You've got the Big 10, Purdue from 2.5 up to 10.5 with Penn State and Oregon. In the SEC, Mississippi State at 3.5 up to 10.5 with Georgia in Texas. And then you look at the Big 12. The lowest is 5.5. The highest is 8.5. And we've got one of these numerous matchups that are going to come into play late in the season. Last year, we forget Iowa State was the number 1 seed when they went to the Big 12 championship game. They were the favorite. Yeah. They've got that quarterback back as well. K-State's 3-point favorite.
I wonder why K-State has to be favored in this game. We might have touched upon this last week a little bit. When you look at it, recent series history, Iowa State has won and covered the last 2 for the last 5. Iowa State won 11 last year. Kansas State won 9. Kansas State, away from Manhattan last year, 1-6 against the spread. Iowa State, with Matt Campbell, 5-1 its last 6 as an underdog. They both return their starting quarterbacks. They both have roughly the same amount of starters.
Staff continuity.
Staff continuity. So why does K-State have to be favored in this game? I don't get it. And a lot of people saying, well, they're trying to overanalyze the fundamentals of it. Well, we think K-State's going to be able to run, and they should. Look. The last 2 years, the team that has run in this game has been Iowa State. They've outrushed them big both times, and Abu Sama has had huge games the last 2 years against Kansas State. So I think for some reason the marketplace seems to think K-State should be favored, and I don't get it.
On our Bet Rivers podcast yesterday, I said I thought this game should be a pick 'em, so I'm going to take 3 points. Chris, it seems like Kansas State getting a little public support, so that's pushed this number up to 3.
Well, they have the marquee player, Avery Johnson. And I think he's very polarizing too. Like last year, came in hotshot freshman. Will Howard leaves there, wins a national championship with Ohio State, but he was the big 5-star recruit. They obviously paid him big money. He had to be the starter. I just don't think he can throw the ball. He's like a running back style, maybe trying to masquerade as a quarterback. He's just very inaccurate. And I watched a lot of his games last year. I had for some reason I was involved in a lot of their games, and I just was not impressed with him. Maybe he takes a big jump here too. It could happen, but I'm gonna have to take the 4. I got 4. I got a good number.
You. Yeah.
I know. I'm not gonna buy back in the game. I'm just gonna sit there. I think 4 is a really solid number in this type of game. It'll probably end up being a field goal game.
And I'm on. And Becht is way more of an accomplished passer than Johnson, and. Johnson's one of those guys. He can make the throws at times, but he's so inconsistent. So, I respect the hell. I'm shocked that Campbell is still in Ames. I have to tell you that. Maybe if he has another good run this year, he might make the jump. But I'm very surprised he's still there. Let's move on to the rest of the schedule, Brucey, and we'll go in order here. And the local team here, UNLV 26.5 right now over Idaho State.
I'm a little skeptical here, and I'll tell you why. From what I hear. Dan Mullen is enjoying himself quite a bit as the head coach.
Oh, is he?
At UNLV, from what I hear. And after talking to Barry Odom last month, and talking to Odom before, Odom was football, all football. The distractions, he didn't care about any of it. He's a football guy. Mullen, I'm a little concerned here because, and it's understandable when a guy makes big money like that, the hunger sometimes goes away a little bit, and he's gotten paid pretty big in the past. He walked away from Florida with a lot of money. I I'm curious, and this is a new team this year. This is what you get a lot this year, the portal, and you got one running quarterback, one passing quarterback in the portal. It's not the same team as it was last year.
It's a big number.
It is a big number.
It's a big number. Chris, do you subscribe, especially week 0/week 1, first games for teams where the offenses are behind, maybe to even jump on some of these, these dogs or unders in first halves, where even it's more exaggerated with some of the slow out the gates for some of these offenses?
Well, you're getting some extra points on the dog here. This game steamed up pretty heavy. I listened to a couple guys around town saying they're gonna need UNLV not to cover this game. So we'll see. Like Bruce said, it is a whole new team. They're spending money here in the portal. They got the new kind of facilities. They're playing the games at Allegiant. It's a whole new era of UNLV football. It was a great effort last year, but I'm not going to lay big points with UNLV. I've heard the same rumors about Mr. Mullen going around town.
Well, there you go. Maybe Bielema just said, "Hey, man, get to one of these tables, you might find your next wife." So we'll see. Kansas 13.5 now at some shops, still 13 over Fresno State. Fresno State new coach, so their roster is a little bit compromised. But Kansas, Jalen Daniels, who really came on the scene, has battled some injuries, but he's back. And Lance Leipold is still there, year 4 at their new stadium. Their new digs. And a $300 million booster contribution strictly to the football NIL player budget. Kansas trying to strike while the iron's hot with their football program right now. Big, almost 2 touchdowns here.
Yeah, they were odd last year because they lost so many close games. I mean, that team shouldn't have been 5-7. I think a little bit of the displacement about the stadium last year, because they had to play a couple games in the MLS stadium on the Kansas side in Kansas City, and they had to play some games at Arrowhead on the Missouri side. So all of that together, but Daniels disappointed some last year. I mean, he didn't have the injury problems he had in years before. Neal, the running back, was really good, and he carried them in some of those wins late in the season.
A lot of production loss there.
I generally like Leopold, but I'm a little leery. I'm just going to sit back and watch. I don't know what to expect from Fresno. Matt Entz had one pretty big at North Dakota State. He came after Kleiman there, who came after Bull. So from that lineage there, he went to SC last year and worked on Lincoln Riley's staff. And Kurt Warner's son, EJ, comes in here as quarterback. Peripatetic. I mean, Temple, Rice, now he's at Fresno. He's a gunslinger. I don't know what to expect with Fresno, so I'm just going to sit and watch.
Are you on the Matt Humans train with Hawaii that's flipped to a 2.5-point favorite now against Stanford? Paul Stone, in his power ratings, has Stanford the lowest rated Power 4 team.
Too soon to tell any of that. I think Frank Reich might be a plus. I talked to him in Charlotte last month. Stanford wasn't as bad as people thought last year. I mean, they were good enough to go.
Oh, you took the grandkids to the Louisville upset, right?
He thinks Stanford's a top 10 team. He was there at the Louisville game with me. But you look at it. I mean, they had some other games. The Cal game they could have won. The San Jose State game they could have won. They did win at Syracuse last year. Now, the quarterback's different. I mean, Daniels is now down at Auburn, I think. But I think it is way too soon to say all this stuff. And Hawaii, they went to Hawaii 2 years ago in the opener. That was Troy Taylor's first game, won pretty handily. I don't know that Timmy Chang has got this thing. He's under some pressure there. It's a stay-away game for me. I'm not going crazy.
Is the mask policy still going on in Palo Alto at the farm? Huh? The mask policy?
Oh, yeah.
The whole city. And finally, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky. No, you choose the same going on this one, just for Frank. Sam Houston, Western Kentucky. We'll get through this.
Well, Phil Longo's first game as Sam Houston's head coach. He had been an offensive coordinator at North Carolina. Then he was at Wisconsin. Didn't work too well at Wisconsin for him. He's coming back to Sam Houston, where he had actually been several years ago. By the way, Keeler, their head coach, you wonder why he would go to Temple from Sam Houston. Well, he's from the Delaware Valley. He grew up around there, so Temple's coming home. That's why he took the Temple job. We'll see. They've got a new quarterback. The other way, Rick McIver's son is now the quarterback for Western Kentucky. He had been at Abilene Christian. And Tyson Helton, I've got a lot of respect for. They beat Sam Houston by 17 last year in Huntsville. I'm almost thinking Western might be worth a look here. I think it might take Longo a bit of time.
At home in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So offshore markets have the mask policy when they'll lift it in Palo Alto at 2029, June 1st, 2029. So we'll see.
Well,
Chris.
I might go over.
Hey, I was just
lay the 80.
I was just noticing Jalen Daniels is 6th year. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good work if you can get it.
Brucey, thank you, buddy. Always good to see you. I treat you to lunch if you're hanging around after. So
I got to get running here, but it's nice to see you.
Yeah, man, you too. What's the deal with the Nevada stuff, huh? I mean, Trent Johnson coming back? Huh? Musselman?
Who's Kaepernick?
All right, there's not much in this.
Yeah. That Friday night game, huh? It was a Black Friday game against Boise when they knocked them out the 2 teams.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. What year was that, Bruce?
2010.
Okay.
We got 2 choices in Nevada. So I take this one.
Before you got Mullen's behavioral report, you're on the Revs. If he's another one of those teams, I just mentioned Power 4, but how are they going to bounce from last year? I mean, what was their over-under? I mean, they exceeded expectations.
Oh, eight and a half. I saw 8.5 earlier. I went under.
Yeah. Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank. United Community Bank with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Contact our great team of bankers, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, and my man Prentice Wilkes to discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. We're live here downtown Las Vegas at the Ultimate Contest Weekend at Circa. We continue. Max with a golf report. He's got those exactas in Atlanta, which he's trying to bring home at a nice price. It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Oh, it's good to kick off our football season on Fridays, or at least our radio shows with Lock of the Week Friday. Certainly Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments. On Jefferson, I've got some of my investments with Tex and more than pleased over the years with the return on my investments. So I get a game plan today. Retirement, paying for your kids, college, how about both? Call 928-8659, Tex Morris, and no. Boy, this thing with the Auburn thing, we're not going to give him too much shade with the. But how they decide on 7? We got 7. We're going to try and claim.
It's a great week for him.
So is it an indictment on Auburn? Of course. Is it an indictment on Alabama because they've done this years before? So Alabama fans are in no position to throw shade at Auburn for this because they were. What's your favorite one, Max? Was that 41? 1941.
20th. That was not, yes, sure, 1941, you might think World War II. No, they played a full season. They finished 20th in the AP poll, and they consider themselves national champions.
So you got that one as well. Where are we at with the golf, Max? Because, you gave out your exactas on Wednesday. We got a shot?
Yeah, absolutely. We got Scheffler to win, which he's right now 4 back. I'll give you an update on that in a second, but he's very much in position the way Scotty Scheffler plays. And then behind him, runner-up, I had Fleetwood, Henley, and Burns. Now, Fleetwood is currently in the lead. Henley is 10 under 2 back. And Burns is, as Chris pointed out, made a little bit of a move here on the back 9. He's just 6 under, so he's not out of it just yet. Jacob Bridgman was a top 10. He's in the mix. So we're doing pretty well on the Tour Championship right now. But the update here is Tommy Fleetwood just made bogey on 17. So he's got, or on 16. So he has fallen back to 11 under par.
Okay.
He's in a tie for lead. And it looks like Russell Henley's about to join it and make it a 3-way tie because he has a 5-footer on 13 for birdie. So we might have a 3-way tie at 11 under par with Scheffler and McIntyre chasing him 3 behind at 8.
Looks like Scheffler's coming just not quite there on some of his birdie attempt putts.
He's putting himself into decent spots where he's got 15, 20 feet. I really was impressed with one of the shots he pulled yesterday where he was stymied, in trouble, off the tee, hits it into a spot where it's like an impossible up and down with the pin location, a huge drop-off in front. He smartly played 20 feet past the hole and made the putt, which you just don't see anybody get up and down from there. JT made double yesterday. I mean, there were a lot of people just making an absolute mess of that hole. He got up and down for par. So he's patiently waiting, and I think over 4 rounds he thinks, I'm good enough to still win this tournament. So he's patient. He's just on the prowl, keeping his distance, but, yeah, not quite running away with this just yet.
What was your reaction? You seen anything on social media, whatever, on with the conference going to 9 games and everybody trying to figure out who their permanents will be?
Yes. Well, I think a lot of people had an idea of where this would go a few years ago when this suggestion was floated. I'm just curious if that changes now that we've delayed this. LSU was originally stuck with, presumably, Alabama, A&M, and Ole Miss, but they want some parity. Is Ole Miss now, how are they weighing top and the bottom half of the league? Because Ole Miss is not maybe the bottom feeder that they once were. So
Kiffin has lifted them up a little bit, but still they're kind of on that edge. Yeah, they're debatable.
So is that an unfair grouping for LSU? Like, how do they adjust for parity? How do they worry about that? Because you could give Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Kentucky, and who are you going to pair these bottom feeders with, because they have to have some sort of rivalry.
So you saying that would be Ole Miss, Alabama, and A&M?
That was originally the thought.
I think it's going to be Ole Miss, A&M, and Oklahoma. And the reason it's Oklahoma is LSU and Oklahoma, they've got some history, they've got resources, and they're the only fit for rivalry weekend now that you have Texas in the league. Texas is playing Texas A&M. I mean, you're playing them. So then they're going to play toward the end of the season. Auburn's playing Alabama, Ole Miss with State. And Arkansas is going to play Missouri. Kentucky's going to play Vandy. It's just so Oklahoma and LSU. You notice where the schedule they've been. They've been late during that rivalry weekend, and so that's something that may come out of this.
They could be setting something up there. I was kind of curious what happens with Arkansas. I thought maybe Missouri. If they dropped Alabama,
they're North.
They've got Missouri, they've got A&M, but who's their third team? Because they've been playing A&M neutral site this year. I think it's actually
they always
campus.
play A&M. So
and then you got Missouri,
Texas.
I thought it could be Texas, it could be LSU.
Southwest
it's going to be
Conference.
one of those teams.
The Arkansas, they try with that damn gaudy ass boot. Okay, I mean they're not.
They polish it every year, Jimmy.
That's great. I mean, no, that's. I think it's they're gonna. I think Texas wants to play. I'm sorry, Arkansas wants to play in Texas every chance they get, even though and they don't like Texas, but they need more of a presence in the state of Texas because that's one of the schools or programs with their move to the SEC has actually hurt their roster. Their rosters were a little bit more competitive on a national level when they were in the Southwest Conference. So, anyway, we'll see about that. Chris, you got any golf action today?
I only have Sam Burns pre-flop at 30-1. That's all I played. I thought he played well.
Where is he currently right now?
6 under, 5 back.
He's 5 back.
Finishing up.
What's his live odds right now? 3-way tie at 11 under, and they drop off to Fleetwood, Henley, and Young. Young's done for the day. Fleetwood's got 2 more holes to go, 5 remaining for Russell Henley. Scotty Scheffler, McIntyre at a dip down, 3 strokes back.
Well, Burns finished actually with 3 straight birdies. He made a long bomb on 18 for birdie, so he's at 7 under, just 4 back, 66-1. His current odds.
Bermuda Burns, baby.
I could double my odds, but I'm not gonna. You know what? He actually played really well in the closing round last week, and I thought he kind of got screwed at the U.S. Open due to that water situation where they wouldn't let him get a drop, and he's just he's been hanging around all year. He's on his favorite surface for putting, the Bermuda Green, so maybe he makes a run at it. I wouldn't say not to take a shot at 66-1, but since I already have him at 30-1, I'm not going to double dip.
All right. We just have 8 tickets remaining for our Eat the Competition dinner this Sunday. So, it's Chef Patrick has done a great job. The Clemson kickoff, which is a crab salad and caviar hors d'oeuvres that they're passing around. The SEC turf toss, that's a little salad that he's doing. Swamp rivalries, the alligator arancini. How about that? Marinated alligator creamy risotto with the green onion aioli. The Orange Swift Mannequin Chardonnay will be the wine pairing there. Bama Slanders, smoked beef carpaccio with the Orange Swift Pinot Noir. Razorback steak, that's going to be a coffee-rubbed Iberico pork steak. The Orange Swift suggested, or the wine pairing, will be a Palermo Cabernet. And the overtime dessert, Death by Chocolate Valley, chocolate espresso de creme cake, and that is with the Abstract Red Blend from Orange Swift. I've gone to these a lot, and they're very generous. It's going to be way more food than you can possibly think of eating, and also the pours with the wines. And are very generous as well. Of course, Allison will be talking about Ruffins, the Ruffins, a charity that he has on the foundation that this all goes to. And so Gordy and Charlie will be talking LSU football as well. So only 8 tickets remain for this Sunday's Eat the Competition wine dinner over at Rufino's. It is quite a deal. We'll take a time out. We're live here at the Circa Football Preview. Again, the Circa Football Ultimate Contest weekend. Got plenty of festivities going on. Got an open bar as of now down at Stadium Swim. So lots of action. Thank you for the Red Sox last night. That was a nice one. Back and forth a little bit last night in Yankee Stadium. That was a good one to cash in last night as well. And never a sweat in Petco. Down early with the San Diego Padres as they take care of this pretty big weekend series with the Dodgers coming to town this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after getting swept in Chavez Ravine last weekend. Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments for downtown Las Vegas and Circle on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Max, do you have the standings from last year's Lock of the Week Friday submissions? I mean, Macero he came in with a Lock of the Week championship 2024, title belt on, but. Did Macero win?
I want to say he did. I want to say Jimmy, you, Charlie, and I were all ended up around 500. I came in last. I will put my hand up. After winning the year before, I came in last. So I can definitely atone to my sins there. But we were all around 500, but I think Chris was a few over 500. So I think he did win.
I think I was more than a few, but I don't think I had more than my worst week on the show might have been 2 and 3, but I had a lot of 3 and 2s.
I will keep official track this year.
Okay.
I will.
We need updated standings every Friday.
Come on, Max.
I just don't have them anymore. I got rid of them. I thought we were done bragging about last year, but onward and looking forward. That's at least what I wanted to do.
This year's standings brought to you by Dirty Birds in Old Mission Boulevard in Pacific Beach.
We can get that. We can get that.
So
if you mention Jimmy Ott when you walk into the Dirty Birds in Pacific Beach location, you get 5 free wings.
You can get 5 free wings and a remote control.
Yes.
That's all I want. I can pay for my damn wings. Just give me the remote control when I walk into Dirty Birds. I got to wait for Chris, and I'm watching. I don't know.
I told him
all 12 TVs on Sports Center or some crap.
I told him 4 o'clock. I get there at like 3:57. I see him. He's fidgeting at the bar already. Chris, can you do something about the TVs? Some games start at 3:35.
So, in the spirit of Lock of the Week Friday, it's week 0. It's an abbreviated card, but we do have a full card of you got a 5-pack. You got 5 with the football games tomorrow. I don't know, a live golf bet. We got a full slate of MLB tonight. Give us put something together for us, Chris.
Well, I do like Iowa State tomorrow, as we mentioned. I got +4. I'm not a huge Avery Johnson guy, so I am going to go with a good number. I think it's probably a low-scoring type of game, maybe a field goal type of game, so I'll take the 4. Baseball today. You gotta like the Pirates. It sounds crazy, but they got Senzatella pitching for the Rockies.
Oh,
he is unbelievable. Still in the rotation, 4-14 with a 7 is exactly 7 ERA. I mean 7 ERA. The Rockies are 16-46 on the road. You got the Pirates, a decent home record, 36-30. They're 20 under 500, but 6 over 500 at home. So I'm leaning to the Pirates, and I'm going to ride the Phillies again. So I'm going to put the Pirates and the Phillies in a parlay, so we don't have to lay the big lumber with the big numbers. So Phillies 40-21 at home. Walker's been pitching pretty well of late. I know he's been career bullpen guy the last few years, but he's been pretty good at home. So I'm going to ride with the Phillies. They've been on a hot streak. They've won 4 in a row. Nationals, terrible road record, 26-36. So let's do the Phillies-Pirates parlay. Let's go with Iowa State, and then I'll give you an underdog tonight. I'm going to ride with the Red Sox again. I don't understand the pricing on Max Fried. He's been overpriced for much of the second half of the season. He got roughed up tremendously the last game. And then you get Brian Bayo, who's given you 6 innings or more, 3 earned runs or less, and about, I think, 12 of his last 13 starts. He's been very consistent the middle part of the season. The one thing is Fried has pitched pretty good at home, but I'm going to take the plus money. I don't like a big number on Max Fried. He hasn't pitched up to snuff lately, so let's ride with the Red Sox again, see if they can get 2 in a row against the Yankees.
Fried at late June, had an ERA of 1.92. His last 8 starts, he's held the opposition to under 3 runs one time, Tampa Bay, to 2 earned runs. Everything else is 3, 4 runs, and 7 earned runs. So he's hit a wall. That's ridiculous. It's funny about Bayo because you think lefties, have a rougher time in Fenway, with the monster, for right-handed hitters. Hasn't been the case. Maybe is maybe a change-up, that he likes to throw it low and away.
No, Bayo's a righty.
Okay, my bad.
Bayo's a righty.
Okay, so Fried, though, that is, and another guy, Chris has done it, a guy rode forever. Seems like Seth Lugo has hit a wall as well. So we know about that, about 2 or 3 weeks ago where every ace, there's like the top 6-8 pitchers in Major League Baseball all got bombed. The same course of like a 4-day course or whatever. But this Fried he is pitching one of my angles. His form is way below his overall season statistics.
And I'll give you another thing that is promising for Bayo tonight. Aaron Judge is only 2 for 17 with 1 double against Bayo at 118 average. Bayo is pitched pretty well against the entire Yankees lineup, 23 out of 91 at a 253 clip. He's only given up 3 home runs, 2 of them to the same guy, Cody Bellinger. So maybe you try to pitch around Bellinger tonight. He's 3 for 5, 600 average, small sample size against Bayo. But maybe you pitch around Bellinger tonight, and you can get a nice plus price on the Red Sox. The bats came alive last night. We saw what Roman Anthony did late in the game. What a home run! So I'm going to ride with the Sox again.
Roman Anthony, and you say actually Boston may have gotten there's a lot of money to give a kid that young, that inexperienced, but his ceiling is way up there in your opinion.
Well, you can tell right away. He's almost the best player on the team already. He has one of the lowest chase rates in all of baseball, not just as rookies, but as the entire league. He's very comparable to a Soto. He just knows the strike zone. He knows when to turn on pitches. He can go the other way. He just has it all. And at 21 years old, yes, getting that contract, he probably might regret it down the road. But they always renegotiate, and if he's worth it, they're going to give him the big deal. But I'm so happy that they got him. He's going to be the face of the franchise. Hopefully, they can re-sign Bregman next year because he's going to opt out. Because Bregman and Anthony have been the best 1-2 punch in baseball. It's been weird seeing Anthony as a leadoff hitter with all the tools he has, but the guy gets on base all the time. He knows the strike zone. He's not afraid to take the walk and get rallies started. So I'm a huge fan, and good for him for last night.
Just such a shame that he couldn't. He's lost a lot of leadership with Rafael Devers now moving on, huh?
Hey, it's amazing that they should have some sort of award for Devers because he sabotaged 2 teams in the same season. He tried to ruin the Red Sox early, and he's since he's been traded to San Francisco, they're one of the worst teams in baseball. So
they have nosed
unbelievable, and the fact that the Giants are on the hook for $280 million of that contract is mind-blowing. That was the one, caveat at the end. I'm like, you know what? This isn't a bad trade. They don't have to pay that money anymore for a guy who's led the league in errors at third base 5 consecutive years, doesn't want to play first, doesn't want to DH. He's just a malcontent in the clubhouse. And with all these new young guys coming up, they didn't want that hanging over them. They wanted a fresh air, get him out of the way, and just not have that detriment of a negative baseball player in the clubhouse. To bring in Bregman, total pro, just a professional at bat every time up, complete clubhouse leader. It's just been a total change setter in the clubhouse.
No doubt about that. Max, you and I will put together a 5-pack when we come back. And don't forget, we're back in town on Monday. We have to adjust our schedule now with the Brian Kelly press conference at 11. Is it 11 or noon we do? Is it, I guess it's 11, huh? Well, we start at
noon.
Is it?
I believe it's at noon. We don't have much after.
So we go at 10 a.m. or we go to 11:02? well, let me get handy. So I got to figure out when we need to be at Big Mike's Sports Grill. But we are making time again for Brian Kelly's press luncheon. That starts this Monday as they talk Clemson. The Clemson Tigers. It's going to be a good one. If you are going to the game, if you've never been to Clemson's campus before, do not be in a hurry. Get there early, settle down, bring your ice chest, and also don't be in a hurry when you're leaving as well, because it's very few arteries going in and out of their campus. But it's beautiful. It's an awesome place. It's just not huge, and it is a lot of traffic trying to leave. Very similar to Auburn up on the Plains. We'll come back and wrap things up here live from downtown Las Vegas at Circa, their Ultimate Contest Weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, about 3-4 minutes left. Max, let's get to it. Give us your 5-pack. Shoot it out for the weekend.
Yes, so on Kansas State, I'm going to be the lone guy here. I like Kansas State -3 here. I think it's all about the front sevens. Kansas State, much better there. Iowa State always gave up big yards against the rush. You've got Avery Johnson, fresh legs this time around. I think that'll help him. I like both quarterbacks, but I just think the front seven advantage in this game goes to Kansas State on a different field, so I'll lay the points -3 with Kansas State. No play on Idaho State UNLV pre-flop, but I'm going to be on the second half over because UNLV is playing a bit of a quarterback battle, especially if Calandria comes in the second half. I like the second half over in that one.
Second half over, okay.
UNLV, Idaho State. Fresno State, Kansas. I'm going to take the over 49.5 here. Kansas, I was very critical last year of their offense coordinator, Jeff Grimes. The offense wasn't the same as it was with Kotelnicki, who went to Penn State. They're bringing in a new OC who's going to bring some of those things back. So I think Jalen Daniels and this Kansas team has a bit more offense this season. So over 49.5, Fresno State, Kansas. Western Kentucky -10 against Sam Houston. I like this number here. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Both these teams lose a lot of players, but I like what Western Kentucky has brought in on offense a little bit more. Sam Houston also going to be up-tempo this year, completely opposite of last year, but they lost a ton, and they had a lot of turnover luck, a lot of fortunate things for Sam Houston, so I'm fading them this year. Western Kentucky -10, and then a double play here in the late game. Hawaii -2.5 and the under 50.5. I watched this Hawaii team a lot. I had a big leverage on them over 4.5 wins last year. They got it in the final game of the season. I was very impressed, though, as much Hawaii football as I watched last year. The defense is pretty good, and they return a lot of it. And actually, their quarterback who replaces Braden Shager was probably better than Shager in his few spot starts last year. So I like Hawaii team. Stanford's a fade. 2.5 with Hawaii and under.
Iowa State +3. We talked about it enough. Kansas, way more continuity within the roster and the staff. It's a big advantage against first-year head coach at Fresno. Jalen Daniels should be no problem with his injuries going into this one in game one. Kansas -13. Kansas City, I'm riding them, man. They are hot right now. They won again yesterday against the Texas Rangers. Burgett's been solid, but this is kind of a fade against Casey Mize as well, he's another one of those pitchers that kind of hit a little bit of a wall. About 6 to 8 starts back. They're +123, taking the Royals and maybe a little bit of an exhale spot for the Tigers after a little bit of loss of that lead. They're back right up to a double-digit lead in the American League Central. I'm with Chris in Boston and Bay Ale +156 at Yankee Stadium. Check out Max Fried's last 8 starts. This is more than just an outlier, man. It is a massive trend. He had an ERA under 2 before this before this 8-start run started. And then Milwaukee -1, not -1.5. So DraftKings and Bet Rivers, you can buy the one -122. Quintana has been very consistent at home. Final thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I only gave you 4 plays. I'm waiting for a pitcher for the Cubs. They haven't announced a starter yet, but I really like the Angels. Cubs coming off that 5-game series and big road trip.
That's it for us over here from Circa. Thanks to Derek Stevens, Mike Palm, all the staff over here, all of our guests. Will be back on Monday at Big Mike's 10 a.m. special early time.